Good evening. Hello, hello. Welcome back to another stream. Good evening. Mark Klar, welche Moin, wie geht's dir? Avenger Ryan, hello to you as well. Avima, hello. And Peter, nice to see you. And Linus, hello, good evening. On YouTube, Bodo and Avinator, hello. I'm doing well, thanks for asking. Right, welcome to Amsterdam Schiphol. Lekker. And yeah, so we're flying the PMDG 777-300ER. What a mouthful. not the 737-300ER. But that was a funny kind of, spelling error. So we got some funny pictures of potentially how a 737-300ER would look like. Ghost, hello to you as well. DB0480, good evening. Na, wie geht's? Yeah, beautiful weather. So nice to have a beautiful chilled flight to Zurich. And what a beautiful livery. What a beautiful aircraft. We'll have a look at that in a minute with the outside check, shall we? Ghost flying Lufthansa cargo almost spawned in. Samos was great yesterday, yeah. Was very nice, yeah. Doing well, thanks, Stevie. Okay, so yeah, cold and dark as you can see. So the startup process will be quite interesting again to see. So safety inspection, as always, things like gear lever, flaps, spoilers, fuel control, hydraulic pumps, windshield wipers, very important always. And then we're going to put the battery on. And now what's happening is that the computer systems in the background, they will slowly start up. I was sure I had ground power ordered, but I don't have it connected yet. So this takes a while. This is just something with all the computers in the background, like on the 787. Yeah, there we go. It takes a while until the displays come on. The routing Ghost, sorry for that. Let me give you the routing real quickly. Hold on, I'll give you that manually here. And so I assume you're flying along, which is nice. Always happy to see people fly along. Here it is. I'll post that on YouTube as well. Now, as the systems are starting up, I've been cycling today and I had an interesting idea. Which I won't share completely with you guys just yet, but it has to do obviously with the Air India accident, but it's going to take some work, but I have a couple of weeks off work after I come back from my next trip, so that will give me some time to do that project, and then yeah, hopefully it'll work out, which will be great. Is this flight Tampa Schiphol? I'm not sure, to be honest. I am not 100% sure. I don't think so, because the Fokker is missing here, right? No, I think... but is that available for 2024? I think this is just a normal handcrafted Asobo. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the Flight Tampa would have orange jetways. That's correct. Yeah, I agree. Exactly. Danam, hello to you. Good evening. And Spreckens, hello. Good evening. Just upgraded my PC and can't wait to fly. So nice. Hey, I'm happy for you. I always love how after you upgrade it, look at that, displays are still not powered up. Again, you just have to be patient. It just takes its time. Yeah, I love having, upgrades. Look at that now, displays coming to live. And then you hear the stick shaker. Also the sound telling you that the startup process is completed. There we go. That was just little... That's it. So the flight warning computers have also started up, so now that's the electrical startup. finished. Oh, Ghost, you have horrible weather where you are? Yeah, well, no, we had lovely weather. It's actually getting quite warm again, like 25 degrees here. Bodo, you think the flight tamper works fine in 2024? Well, then I have to check it. Right, let me just go through the items here quickly. The 777 is pretty much the same as a 787. It's really simple to get going. The only weird thing is on the flight vector 777, everything's switched off, which is sort of unrealistic. But here, it's pretty much what I would expect to find in the real aircraft. That looks all good. My flight on. Tell people on the ground that we've powered up the aircraft. Lido, 28 degrees in Italy. Genoa, correct? Let me just put the TCAS above, or TCAS above. Left source is fine, but transponder has to be off. We don't want to transmit just yet. Or standby. Cool. All right. Yeah, that's pretty much the over panel done already. So now for the MCP. Auto throttle arm switches, they're usually always on. And the rest we'll do in a minute. Switch those on, VORs, left, right. Oh yeah, somebody was asking me why we, on the 777 and on the 787, we already turn on terrain mode and TCAS, or they have the traffic button pushed here, even though we're still at the gate. Now, for those, hey, I was Scotsman and Wiki, hello to you. Yeah, 24 is used RL as well today. Yeah, correct. Now, what people always think is that the terrain radar, I don't know why it's called terrain radar. It's not a radar. So it's not like in the military where you have a forward-looking radar that scans the ground. This is just a database. Okay, so it does not. So switching terrain mode on does not transmit anything to the outside. Hey, MG King and Adrianello. Be aware of that. So it's perfectly fine to have terrain mode on, and I do it because that way I get some situational awareness regarding terrain already, right? Especially when we look at the departure route. The traffic, so this is actually telling me now that when I do my lineup, if that still shows TCAS fail, that way I know the TCAS has not been switched on. It's a little reminder. So that's why we do that. Oh yeah, and today, I'm not sure if you already picked it up. There was something on Aviation Herald. And as always, I've not seen a confirmation yet. I'm not sure where they got the information from, but it said on June 17th, an official, a former Air India captain trained by the captain of the accident flight, stated that the CVR, so cockpit voice recorder, has been successfully read out. The voices on the CVR are very clear, and it is becoming gradually clear from the newly emerging evidence that there was probably zero negligence in the cockpit. The crew did not give up until the very last moment. The probability of a technical cause is high. A preliminary report by India's AAIB can be expected in a few days. That's what it says. Now, I always say caution, since it's not official from an official source as far as I've seen. Be careful with that. But I really hope that we do get a first report out very, very soon. Terrain, hang on, Sephar Wave, hello to you. And now I was a bit wondering, is that new? Left of a center line here from 2-4. I've never seen that before there in real life. Are you guys, I know, starting to make your own mountains in the Netherlands? I don't know. Oh, lovely. Lufthansa Cargo, 777 next to us. Lovely. Can you zoom in? Hang on. I'll do that in a minute when we line up later. Yep, so we'll have to look and see what's going to come out. But I really, really hope that we're going to get some answers now. Like I said, I'm a bit anxious because it could potentially have influence on my work. I don't think it will happen, so I don't think the whole 787 fleets will be grounded worldwide, but you never know. I mean, it's something we'll have to wait and see. So that's why I'm anxious. Right, I'm going to go with route request. Already got the request through the EFB, so Amsterdam, Zurich. And then we're going to set the payload, set the fuel, and select the route. Ghost, that's you then in the cargo, yeah. Cargo 777, yeah. Hey, Nate, how you doing? Well, I mean, Nate, you know, it's just one of those things, right? So let's go activate, execute. Oh, hang on. What's happened to my route? Oh, there we go. Execute. Just took a while. And then route data. Let's load the wind data here. 777 does not have this the climb winds, so only descent winds. 350 is the cruising level. 350. And then I'm going to go to FMC.com. Load the descent forecast winds. Wonderful. So we'll set the GPS position in here. Cargo 777 loading packs. Well, it's a new concept, you see. It's a new concept. So let's go. Departure arrival. Runway. Although, hang on. Can we get ATIS here? No, is that still not? Is that not active yet? So we still can't get. We can't get any wind requests here. Hey, Captain Tolerance, how you doing? Yeah, that's a bit strange, isn't it? Oh, hang on, disregard. No, I know. Oh, I keep forgetting you can do that here in the com. So com menu. Hey, yeah. It's a complicated job, guys. It is. Not everyone is fit to do that. I mean, flight information, that's departure, ATIS request. There we go, found it. So we're going to use VATSIM, EHAM, send. Right. New check ride quite. Oh no, I've got another. Yeah, I've got a check ride coming up in July, so I've got to practice for that for sure. Runway 24 for sure as well. Let's exit here. Oh, there we go. And then we're going to press com again. Here we go. It's information echo 1755 Zulu. That looks pretty accurate. Surface wind 280 at 6. Good visibility, temperature 22, connection 1024. Oh, hang on. What? Why is it saying... Huh? But I did request VATSIM weather. What happened? I mean, that's correct. 22 degrees is correct. It's just the... Well, echo could be correct as well. Yeah, no, that looks pretty much like the VATSIM ATIS. Okay, anyways. So then on the flight plan, we are expecting the Lopic 3 Sierra departure. . 3 Sierra, execute. Then it's going to be 850. Oh, hang on. Oh, this is brilliant. Oh, yes. This is one of the best features ever. Love that. So then we've got direct, November 852 Zutal, direct Golf Tango Quebec, direct Pogol, direct Lazat, direct Shara, direct Tupov, direct Bravo Lima Mike. And then we are going to expect runway 14 in Zurich because the weather is 040 at 7. Typical wind, a little bit of tailwind. Hey, EDDK. GSX check, right? Yeah, you can't pass that, no. Liam, yeah, I'm rated on the 787 777 at the moment. So we've got 040 at 7, cavalcade 25 degrees 1023. Pretty much similar weather to what we have here. So let's go departure arrival index, arrival Zurich, ILS 14. Then Bravo Lima Mike 3 Golf, and we are going to arrival Zurich Star, and that's going to be the arrival as transitions. Let me go get the arrival first. There it is. So we'll pin that, and then this leads us to Gipol. And then we'll have the Gipol transition 14. Pin that. So it's going to be Gipol 14 transition. Execute. So let's have a look really quickly. Bravo Lima Mike. Then 677 Gipol. And then 372. 404, 406, 408, etc., etc. Yeah, all good. All right, and that's closed then until the runway. Perfect. For the approach, let's select the ILS 14. Wonderful. So departure pinned. Airport. Here we go. So runway 24, we have to taxi quite a long ways, and although it's better than having to go on 36 left, obviously. I'm not complaining. And then that departure. Now I want to do one more though. Let me go airport. Let me try to find taxi. We'll take that. Yeah, let's take that chart, because here we can actually see the taxi routings. See those arrows? So when we push back, we're going to expect Alpha and then Sierra 7. That looks good. Okay. So we've done that. So we got in it to go. So routing is completed. Let's do a route copy. We already had the winds inserted as well. A Polderban action. Yeah, Aviaman, not me. No. No. And Svenja, good evening. Wie geht's? So let's have a look. What I was going to do something. Oh yeah, my website to get the data for Schiphol. So Schiphol, there it is. Oh yeah, guys, are you willing to get bored to death by my theory on takeoff performance? Now I could be really mean. I could be mean and do it now, but that would mean that most of you are asleep by the time we get airborne. So I thought I'd do it after the flight, so those that don't care about these things can log off and not having to worry about. Because I think it's going to be interesting. Give you a bit of background knowledge, which I think is always useful. Hey Ted, nice to see you. No, it's not flight tamper yet. Sorry, I didn't think it was working in 2024. And also maybe it's going to help you understand a little bit about the takeoff performance that was kind of discussed in the 787 accident, because there was a claim that they used pretty much all of the runway. But like I said, we'll do that after the flight. Dennis, doing well. How are you doing? Nice to see you. So runway 27 is NADP 2, 990, 990. And we have engine out, 1500 feet acceleration, and just straight out 25 miles to hold. So that is good enough. So what I'll do is I'll get fix. We'll take... actually, hang on, can we... No. So we're going to take fix. Just take the airport. We'll take a 25-mile ring around that. That is good enough. Yeah, 2.4 is, yeah, they're using 2.4, yeah. Not only on VATSIM, but also IRL, yeah. Now for the RATNAV, let's have a look for the SID. It's an ANAV departure. Let me show you guys a little bit more about the departure information here. So runway 24, it's an ANAV 1 required departure route. Execute takeoff immediately after receiving the clearance. Remain on tower frequency until passing 2,000 feet. Then contact Schiphol departure. And instruction 10-3. So this is the departure route if you go onto 852 airway, which we are. 250 below 100. Now we have Schiphol. We can set that into the RATNAV. And then so we got Alpha Max 005, Max 220 in the turn. Very likely we'll have to have that either flaps 5 or flaps 1. Until Alpha Max 008, Max 220, then we're going to go Alpha Max 050 and then to Lopik. And Lopik is going to be flight level 6, 5 or below. Initial climb clearance is flight level 60. So we can already put that in. 60. And the runway track is 236. Yeah, Ghost, though, there is a very simple kind of way of getting those speeds. So those clean, or the maneuvering speeds. So what you have to do is go to approach. So once we enter the gross weight, you get the flap 30 speed, and then plus 100 is clean speed. Plus 80 is flaps 1 maneuvering, plus 60 is flaps 5 maneuvering, plus 40 should be, not sure about the 8777 though, but we'll see. We'll have a look later. Avianator, well, that's the thing. It's just, you know, these are all just speculations. I mean, I could think of, honestly, I could have given you, I think, 3 more speculative reasons why that accident happened. And all of them probably wrong when we learn what really happened. So again, there's, in my opinion, I know as much as people love to play, you know, kind of forensic inspectors, it's just no point in speculating. So I'll just wait for the official report, and once that is out, I definitely will go through the report because again, it affects me personally as well. So definitely want to, you know, see what really happened, if there's any consequences for my work. Costing's 22. And the main goal, as always, the main goal, guys, to find out what happened is not to punish or point fingers. That is not the aim of that investigation. The investigation is necessary to make sure that kind of accident doesn't happen again. That's the main reason for this investigation. Right. So let me have a look. So Ghost, we can check that ourselves. All right. So if you go flaps 30, 142, So clean speed should be 240, although is it, I'm getting confused now, is it plus 80? Because 242 seems a bit high for the 777 if it's so light. If it's 222, yeah, if it's 222, it's going to be 80. I think it is 80 then, plus 8. So 222, that will give us the answer. 222 probably is the clean speed. Like green dot, if you like, for the Airbus. Hey, Franz, hello. Good. So we have 226 gross weight, so not that heavy because we don't have that much fuel. Only 19.3 tons. And now that we've entered all the values, I'm going to put Navrat Schiphol, make sure that doesn't change automatically. So manual. And then we can already proceed to the takeoff calculations. 1024, yeah, 24. Hey, forward, Gute. It should. I've entered the codes, so let me try that. Thanks for the info, Ghost. Thanks. Now the question is, do I need to log on prior? It's always one of those things I'm not sure, but anyways, let's try it this way. So we are called KLM 711 Heavy today. No, not Heavy. Don't have to put it in. But we are call sign Heavy. Okay. So Amsterdam. Schiphol 8s, we'll try Echo Gate. I have no idea. Where are we? Hello? It's gate Echo 7. Okay. I do not need to be logged in, thank you. So Echo 7 it is. Yeah, but I can't. That's the thing though. I can't send it though. Yeah, but here also I can't send that logon off either. Oh, hang on, let me just have. Do I have to put that in here as well? No, it's so the thing is this. So I'm reading Hoppy code. So this is my Hoppy code. It says syst ATC network none. Yeah, let me do that again then. Oh, I've saved it and it says, look, it says, let me just show you guys. Hoppy is valid. Say intentions ID is valid. Tablet is updated. So all of that is, oops. All of that is correct. So, all right, let me do the following. Let me go get com page away. Let me go. Oh, hang on. Is that because... Ah, hang on. Maybe because I haven't cancelled that yet. Ah. Maybe that was the reason. No. Oh. Let's show that, but yeah, I have no idea. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, we'll try. That's a shame though. I was hoping for a log on later in flight as well. Yeah, but that's not the first time I've loaded the aircraft. So I've literally, that's the like third time I've loaded the aircraft. So that's why I'm a bit surprised. So that should be all on. Packs are on. APU bleed is on. APU is running. Okay, yeah, so it would show a network if available. Okay, well, that's fine then. All right, thanks. So we have the tower online, 1923. So let's do that. 1923.
So 162.
Доброго 22 Sierra departure runway 24, climb initially 6,000 feet, squawk 0162, KLM 1977.
KLM 1977, read back correct, report fully ready.
So that's flight level 60, isn't it? Schiphol Tower, good afternoon. KLM 711 Heavy, information echo, request clearance to Zurich, please.
KLM 711, mine cleared to Zurich, Lopic 3 Sierra departure, runway 24, initial climb, flight level 60, squawk 1000.
Thank you much. Cleared to Zurich, runway 24, Lopic 3 Sierra departure, climb level 60 and squawk 1000.
KLM 711, read back correct, report fully ready.
We'll call you ready, KLM 711 Heavy, thank you.
Austrian 372 Alpha, runway 24, cleared for takeoff, wind 280 degrees, 6 knots, bye-bye.
So let's do that. 1000. 60236.
KLM 1011, cleared to Groningen, Andik 2 Sierra departure, runway 24. Initial climb flight level 60.
And then the sound a bit. So let's go to performance. So runway 24.
KLM 1011, read back correct, report fully ready.
Dry. We're weighing 226.2 tons. CG is at 29.02. So we want an optimum rating. The air conditioning, so anti-ice off, air conditioning automatic. That's all correct. Let's import the weather. 23, 22 degrees. Let's calculate that. Yeah, Ghost, I requested 350. Well, SimBrief gave me 350, so that's maybe the why. Yeah, so information echo, if you go and look at the ATIS available, so, you know, we pilots are requested to, or required to get the latest weather information. And so by telling the controller, be it the clearance delivery or ground or tower, that we have information echo, means that we've received the ATIS information echo, so the controller knows if that's the current ATIS, then I have the correct QNH setting and the correct weather data, wind, temperature, etc. So if I don't tell him that we have information echo, or I tell him that we have information delta, which is an old information maybe, then he could say, okay, the latest ATIS information is echo. Yeah, so delta. I think delta is the actual current one, and so echo came out of the box here, which is probably incorrect. But anyway, so we got the right data here, and so now we've got a flaps 5 departure. We have a takeoff 2, 46 degrees selected, trim 4.75, and the speed's 47, 52, 57. So we're going to enter that data now. We're going to go thrust limit. Hey Lee, good evening. Lee, are you still? Do you still have to your Abitur? That's next year, you said, right? Or was it this year, Abitur? I keep forgetting. I'm sorry, but. 47, 52, 57. Flaps 5. Next year. Okay, well, I know, but still probably a stressful time right now for you, right? Just before summer holidays. Well, Avinator, I mean, I've done some files regarding communications, etc., on my Discord, which is though for subscribers or members. Very stressful, Ali. Okay, I can imagine. Yeah.
Okay, 1977, no problem. Hold position and report ready for push.
Hold position, we will report when ready.
Which one is more realistic? Overall, I mean, the thing is, it's a bit unfair kind of comparison, Eric, because the flag factor isn't finished yet, is it?
KLM 76 Bravo, clear to Zurich, then runway 24, low pick 3 Sierra departure.
Yeah, and Avinator, the other way you could do that is watch some tutorials on YouTube, or watch streams like today, and that way you can pick up and ask questions, right? Cool. Let's do the first checklist. So let's do the pre-flight checklist. So oxygen test at 100%, flight instruments, heading 122.
Italia 310 taxi holding point, runway 24, Sierra 7.
So heading, yeah, heading is 122, altimeter 1024, 30 feet. Although, if I'm not mistaken, it should be 1023. Maybe the next 8 is. I think they're just changing it. So now, strangely enough, now they're saying, so that's set, checklist complete. Now they're saying you should log on Echo Hotel Alpha Mike.
KLM 1757, roger, pushback and start approved, information Delta, QNH 10024.
Let's see. Just, I'm not going to request that, just out of interest. No, I don't have it yet. Yeah, so regarding you know, which add-on is more accurate, more realistic, I think eventually the flight factor will have the edge overall. Hey Chris, nice to see you. Chris, yeah, I hope you're doing well, and hope again you're gonna find a new job soon. Hope things are good with you and your family. Greetings. So let's reach the ground power. And then we'll do the before start items. So hydraulic clearance is received. So here I always have to check again. It's always a bit more complicated compared to the 787. And I do want to get it right. So let's see. So desktop. So there we go. So that's how it's supposed to be done. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So right electric auto. We wait until the fault light goes out. Ribonius, thank you.
Gentlemen, welcome aboard the Captain.
So that's out. Then we go on.
New subscribers
Auto.
pick up their pass to first class.
Auto.
Thank you.
Then fuel comes on. Beacon on.
Oh, didn't see my sub ran out.
Record checked. Thank you so much, Rabonius, for the 10 months. I hope you're doing well. Hey, Ritz. Greetings to Minnesota. I was in Minneapolis not too long ago. Hope you're doing well. And do I have a favorite approach IRL? Well, I have several. I don't have just one. Several airports that have very nice approaches. So it's like a mixture between being beautiful to watch, but also to kind of be a bit challenging, right? That's the idea.
290 degrees, 4 knots, bye-bye.
It's scary to be an adult. Yeah, Vinato, you get used to that. So let's read the. Although let me get GSX moving.
KLM 1011, pushback
Wow.
and start approved facing the east. And QNH 1023, information echo.
Skyfly 977, Skyfly 577 X-ray, we're lined up runway 18 right for the spotting.
577 X-ray tower, hello, runway 18 right, clear to land, wind 290 degrees, 4 knots.
Runway 18 right, clear to land, Skyfly 577 X-ray heavy.
Correct, runway 18 right, clear to land, Skyflyer 577 X-ray.
And tower from KLM 711 heavy, stand Echo 7 requesting push.
KLM 711, information echo, QNH 1023, push pull approved if able. That's a pushback into Alpha 14 and then a pull into Alpha 16.
Okay, push back Alpha 14 and then push pull forward until Alpha 16. Copied. We'll try. KLM 711 heavy. Yikes! So let's have a look where that's supposed to be. So push.
Goedenavond, Papa Hotel, Foxtrot Sierra Bravo, the Kilo Open, requesting clearance to Eindhoven with...
Oh, there we go. Alpha 14 is here. Okay.
Echo.
Papa Hotel, Foxtrot
Right.
Sierra Bravo, information echo.
Guys,
correct,
you've got to help me
clear
out now.
Eindhoven,
So
low
how do I do push pull?
Correction, that is the Lopic 2 Golf departure, runway 22. Initial climb flight level 60, squawk 1000.
Cleared Eindhoven, see the Lopic 2 Golf departure runway 22, initial climb flight level 60, score 1000, Foxtrot Sierra Bravo.
Ghost, thank you much for that.
Feedback correct, start approved, information echo, QNH 1023.
I know there's a key for that, right? There's a key that allows you to...
QNH 1023, report Golf Delta, Papa Sierra Bravo.
Austrian 76 Lima, request taxi. Austrian 76 Lima via Alpha 4, taxi holding point Sierra 7, runway 24.
Via Alpha 4, holding point 24, Sierra 7, Austrian 76.
KLM 1757 ready to
Bravo,
taxi.
operation startup, and Echo 18.
KLM 76 Bravo, pushback and startup approved, information echo, QNH 1023.
Customized. Oh, hold
Operation
on.
startup approved, information
Ha.
echo, QNH
You see?
1023, KLM 26 Bravo.
There's the first wait. That's the first point there. So what did I press? 7?
Schiphol Tower, clearance to Whiskey, establish class to
Oh my god.
KLM 27 Whiskey Tower, runway 18 right, clear to land, wind 290 degrees, 4 knots.
Let's land from 18 right. Can we do a long rollout?
A long rollout is approved.
Copy that, thank you. To the Whiskey.
Skyflyer 577 X-ray, welcome to Amsterdam, taxi gate Echo 7 at
Oh my
Whiskey
God.
13, cross runway 18 center.
Oh, will this work? I have no idea. Hang on.
Sorry, gate Echo 7 via Whiskey 13, cross runway 18 center.
Left Panta 7 out, I'll request taxi.
First Alitalia 310, contact Amsterdam radar 134 decimal 375, bye-bye.
34.375, Alitalia.
Sorry, guys.
Alpine 36 X-ray Mike, runway 24, clear for takeoff, wind 290 degrees, 4 knots, bye-bye.
So how do I do...
Clear to take off, runway 24, Alpine 36,
Yeah, there's a way to create waypoints. I just don't know.
KLM 1757 ready to taxi.
KLM 1757, hold position for now, both your exits are blocked, unfortunately.
No problem, we'll hold for now, thanks. KLM 1757.
Yeah, and the KLM 711 heavy GSX is somewhat a mystery sometimes, so I can only do a pushback straight back, please. Sorry, we could go on to Just to beam Foxtrot 4, if that's possible.
KLM 711, I think I stepped over your message part, please, again.
Yeah, so GSX is a bit of a mess setting up the push-pull. Can we just do a normal pushback out of Echo 7, please?
KLM 711, roger, pushback and startup is approved. And QNH still 1023.
Kinswell 023, pushback approved. Thank you, the KLM 711. Right, so...
Delta 7 Alpha by Alpha 4, taxi holding point Sierra 7, runway 24.
Hey, Easy Mark. Yeah, there was a way...
7 Alpha by Alpha 4, taxi holding point runway Sierra.
But I couldn't get through the sequence of the waypoints. I could do 2 waypoints.
Goedenavond, KLM 4688 with you, final relay to correction, 185.
KLM 4688, continue approach, wind 290 degrees at 4 knots.
Continue approach, KLM 4688.
That looks interesting. Alright.
Triple Tower, goedenavond.
So, before start checklist, flight deck door closed and locked, MCP, V2 is 157, we have heading 236, altitude level 60. Ticker speeds, we have 142, 152, 157, 88.5%, CD pre-flight completed, trim 4.75 units, set, and 00, taxi take briefing completed. Default start checklist complete. Engine start. Start right engine.
Hey, Tower, very good evening, speedbird 44.
Speedbird 449, Tower, pass your message.
Speedbird 449, very good evening, request clearance to London Heathrow.
Speedbird 449 cleared London Heathrow, Falco 3 Sierra, departure runway 24, initial climb flight level 60, squawk 7335. Falco 3 Sierra, runway 24, please set parking brakes. Speedbird 44.
These are still the old sounds, aren't they?
4688, runway 188,
waiting your confirmation for our good engine start.
Turn 76 Lima, runway 24, clear for takeoff, wind 290 degrees.
Start left engine.
Tower Papa Sierra Bravo, Golf Delta.
The engines are loud? Huh?
Papa Sierra Bravo, correction Sierra Bravo, taxi holding point, Golf 1, runway 22.
No, Lee, it's, yeah, this is default. Yeah, I didn't know that the flight tamper works in 2024.
Welcome to Amsterdam, taxi Delta.
Yeah, on VATSIM you can only do that through the main menu of Microsoft.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
Yeah, Guido, for sure. For sure, it does make sense, right? To get to here so that aircraft can taxi in, no doubt. Because now we're blocking the aisle for quite a long time. What a huge aircraft. Blimey. That's a long aircraft. Right, so let's do the before taxi items. Flaps 5. Tow truck is away. Let's do the flight control check. Make sure everything's working here. Full down, full up. Full left, full right. Rudder, left, right.
2 stations, KLM 219, go ahead.
Status is clear. You did Amsterdam Curacao last IRL, nice.
Initial climb, flight level 60, squawk 2140.
Good Vancouver, Bogey 20 departure, running 24, initial climb level 60, squawk 2140, climb 219.
There we go. All clear. There's one more setting I want to have a look here really quickly before we taxi.
KLM 1757, looks like my routes out are clear now. Request taxi.
Aircraft. Where's sounds?
I agree. Via Alpha 10, taxi holding point Sierra 7, runway 24.
Thanks very much. Alpha 10 Sierra 7 for runway 24, KLM 1757.
KLM 711 heavy, request taxi.
Request IFR to Berlin.
KLM 17 Foxtrot clear.
So before taxi, anti-ice off, recall. TCAS off checked, flight controls checked, ground equipment is clear. Before taxi, checklist complete. Oh, in this livery. Oh, nice.
KLM 1011 behind, departing Airbus A319, line up and wait, runway 24 behind.
Line up and wait, right, departing Lufthansa, KLM 1011.
KLM 711 heavy, request taxi. Jeez. Sorry.
2 stations, speedbird 449er, I believe.
Yeah, speedbird 449.
It's like everybody waits like 2 seconds to make sure nobody else is talking.
Speedbird 449 information.
And then we all press at the same time.
Pushback and starboard approved.
Oh.
Pushback startup approved, copy QNH, speedbird 4.
KLM 4688, taxi gate Echo 22.
So DVT 666, thank you much. So insert waypoint F5, delete. F5 delete. F1, oh delete F1, F4 cycle. Ah, okay.
Schiphol Tower, Papa Sierra Bravo.
Papa Sierra Bravo, ready for departure?
Papa Sierra Bravo, ready for departure.
Papa Sierra Bravo, Roger Golf 1, runway 22, line up and wait.
Line up and wait, runway 22, free Golf 1, Papa Sierra Bravo.
KLM 711 heavy, request taxi.
KLM 711, taxi holding point Sierra 7, runway 24. At Alpha 14, give way to the Airbus A340 from left to right.
Copy it, holding point Sierra 7, runway 24, and at Alpha 14 we're going to give way to the Airbus from the left, KLM 711 heavy. So like we mentioned at the beginning,
KLM 1412, runway 18 right, clear to land, wind 290 degrees, 4 knots.
Clear to land, but that's right, KLM 1412. Fully ready.
So here we go, Alpha 14, let's look out for the 340, there he is. And we're going to give way to him, and then we'll continue, and like I said before, it still happens. So we have to taxi.
577 X-ray. I think the KLM has the way, correct?
No. No, he'd set behind. So.
Skyflyer, correction. Skyflyer 577.
So Alpha.
You're number 1 at Alpha 14.
And then Sierra 7.
You gave us
so Alpha.
Echo, oh yeah, number 1 on Alpha 14. Thank you.
Is the standard taxi route.
Just to be sure, you can enter
so
here
when
on the right,
he doesn't give you a different clearance, you go with the standard routing.
KLM 711, traffic should be no factor. You can continue on Alpha.
Okay, copied. We continue on Alpha. KLM 711 heavy. Just wondering. So is he turning left now?
Sierra Bravo departure instructions. After departure.
Oh yeah, he is. Okay.
90 and initial climb 2,000 feet.
After departure 090, initial climb 2,000 feet. Papa Sierra Bravo.
Or is he?
KLM 1011.
Ah, okay. He wants to turn in here. Okay.
Wind 290 degrees.
Understand. Cool.
Takeoff runway 24, KLM 1011.
Yeah, exactly, Avimar. And also, it just minimizes the communications.
KLM 14 Tango, say again your request?
Push start by another NG.
KLM 14 Tango, roger, pushback and start approved. Information echo, QNH 1023.
Push and start approved, QNH 1023, KLM 14 Tango.
Normally, yes. But he said Alpha 14, so he expected us push back Alpha 14. But normally you would be correct. Normally it would be this way around. I agree.
KLM 76 Bravo, runway 24, line up and wait.
Florian, hello to you.
Runway 24, line up and wait, KLM 76 Bravo.
So we're still on Alpha.
Alpha, runway 22, cleared for takeoff, wind 290 degrees, 4 knots.
Takeoff runway 22, Papa Sierra Bravo.
Before takeoff checklist. Before takeoff checklist complete. Checklist complete.
Easy 89 Lima Papa, pushback and start approved, information echo, QNH 1023.
Yes, 1023, push approved.
Let's have a look. Alpha 1, 2. Yeah, then we go Alpha 8.
To
There we go.
Mike, pushback and start approved, information echo, QNH 1023.
Echo, QNH 1023, push approved, Lufthansa,
Turkish 4 Papa Zulu, ready for IFAC to Istanbul, information echo on board.
Last station, say again.
Turkish 4 Papa Zulu, ready for IFAC to Istanbul, information echo on board.
Turkish 4 Papa Zulu cleared Istanbul, Randy 2 Sierra departure, runway 24, initial climb flight level 60. Score
Good. Any changes? Nope. Everything as cleared. Up 60. And in case engine failure, just proceeding straight out 25 miles. Acceleration 1500. But there's one thing I have to change real quickly. Page 2.
Turkish 4 Papa Zulu, read back correct. Report
So
ready, break, KLM 1011.
it's going to be 1,000 feet, sorry, 1,500 engine out. And 1,000 is correct. That's all correct. For the engine out case. Cool.
KLM 1412 at takeoff.
KLM 1412, welcome to Amsterdam, taxi Delta 5.
Sorry, got to go Sierra 7.
At Whiskey 13, cross runway 18 center.
Sharp turn.
Delta 5 via Quebec and crossing at 13 the center. KLM 1412.
KLM 76 Bravo, runway 24, cleared for takeoff.
That's such a big aircraft. I can't even get that turned. Took the wrong turn there. It's going to stop a little bit sideways here. Hey, hey, hey.
KLM 17 Foxtrot, push and start approved. Information echo, QNH 1023.
Information echo 1023, push and start approved, KLM 17.
Oh, am I on real time? Good question.
KLM 11, if able, make the right turn for Sierra 7. Currently you're on echo 1.
Okay, let me check. Am I in Echo 1? Oh, I am. No.
Speedbird 449er, taxi holding point Sierra 7, runway 24, hold short of Alpha. Hold short of Alpha.
I saw it. So this is it. So that's what got me confused here. You see this?
KLM 1 for Tango, ready for taxi.
That got me confused.
KLM 1 for Tango, taxi holding point Sierra 7, runway 24.
That sign there.
24, well, KLM 1 for Tango.
KLM 219, push and start.
KLM 219, pushback and start approved. Information echo, QNH 10.
You're right. Yeah, but I don't think I saw that because I was too far forward. And then I saw that sign, Sierra 7, and I thought, oops, small aircraft. Ay, 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 ay.
Cliff takeoff on way 24, KLM 1757, bye-bye. EHAM Lima Papa, request taxi.
EHAM Lima Papa, taxi holding point Sierra 7, runway 24.
Papa Sierra 7, runway 24.
The coffee no cookies in real life, yeah. In real life, if you did that, the controller would. It depends, but he may file a report on that, yeah.
Via Alpha 6 for Delta 12. Enter via Alpha 6 for Delta 12.
Oh, there's another thing. See that? Why do I have double? Do I have double sceneries in here?
Can you do the Fox on final line right?
Yeah.
KLM 26 Foxtrot, runway 185 cleared land, wind 270 degrees, 4 knots.
Good line runway 185, count to the 26 Foxtrot.
Lufthansa cargo command to West
First KLM 1757.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sense of that sign.
270 degrees, 4 knots.
So why, Sierra 7 to the left?
Clear for takeoff, KLM 1757.
Anyways.
KLM 711, behind departing company Boeing 737, line up and wait runway 24 behind.
Behind departing company 737, line up runway 24, wait behind. KLM 711 heavy. Nobody sees double. Have you been drinking? Come on, guys. You got to see double numbers here. I'm not the only one.
Automatically switch over to next station 134.375. Bye bye.
Right, let's do this.
134.375.
Approach sector is clear. Cabin crew prepare for departure.
Bye bye.
TCAS reminder, correct. Now we're going to do a huge overshoot.
Sierra 7 runway 24.
12.0724 KLM 0. Hello, with 2 Delta Victor information aircraft.
Such a long aircraft. Right, so.
Swiss 2 Delta Victor cleared Zurich, Lotic 3 Sierra departure, runway 24. Initial climb, flight level 60, squawk 1000.
With Delta Victor cleared Zurich, Lotic 3 Sierra departure, initial flight level 60, squawk 1000.
34375 could be potentially the next frequency.
First, KLM 711, runway 24, cleared to takeoff with 270 degrees, 4 knots, bye-bye.
Runway 24, cleared takeoff, bye-bye, KLM 711 heavy. Just confirmed departure frequency is going to be 134375.
Affirm 134.375 after passing 2000. He might switch off soon, but otherwise it will be Unicom. Have a good flight.
Okay, we'll try. Thanks a lot for the service. See you next time. KLM 711 heavy. Right, hang on. Let's do that. 40%.
First Speedbird 4.
Takeoff.
49er, taxi holding point Sierra 6, runway 24.
Sierra 6, going to 4, Speedbird 4. KLM 1750 is about to say thanks for your help, bye.
80 knots.
Checked.
1757, have a good flight, bye bye.
Cheerio.
KLM 755. Swiss 2 Delta Victor, say again.
Rotate.
Swiss 2 Delta Victor, information Foxtrot, QNH 1023, pushback at start.
Careful not to get a tail strike. Gear up. Enough.
KLM 7 Foxtrot, taxi holding point Sierra 6, runway 24 via Alpha 4.
Wonder what that is. So with thrust ref, we have speed.
Taxi Charlie 5 at Charlie 5 via Quebec at Whiskey 13 cross runway 18 center.
I'm going to leave that open with the speed window. Let's do that. Autopilot.
Lufthansa A2 Mike.
So we have LNAV, VNAV speed at 200 knots. That's fine. Schiphol departure, good evening. KLM 711 heavy. Passing 2,700, climbing 60. Yeah, he's locked off now. I can see that. Good. Altimeters already, and then we'll do the cleanup in a minute. So the max speed here was 220 knots. So let's go flaps 1. Yeah, there we go. So that answers the question, right? Plus 80 knots from VREF. Oh. Easy, easy. Hey. Yeah, probably if we'd used Flight Tampa scenery, probably would have been much better. But like I said, I thought Flight Tampa isn't working yet in 2024. And I didn't want to risk that. So we're past that waypoint. We can speed up now. So I'm going to close that speed window. Flaps up. Flaps up. Let's do that, and then let's read the after takeoff checklist. After takeoff checklist complete. So there's no other control here. So let's aim for 350. TCAS looks good. Thrust ref VNAV speed 350, and there is no departure control anymore. So we go to Unicom 22.8. TCAS looks good. We are on above. Nice. Oh yeah. Yep. So somebody's asking if we are on live time. We are. Live time, and it says here 19 UTC. Yeah, so we are on live time, correct. What do you mean you can't see? Hey Guido, thank you so much. Thank you for the €6 donation, Guido. Nice livery, nice flight. What more can you want? Thank you, Guido, for your donation. That's really kind. Thank you so much for that. I hope the aircraft sounds aren't too loud. If they are, let me know, please. Right, lights off. A bit of turbulence still, it seems. So let's keep the seatbelts on for a couple more minutes. Gonna delete that out. Fix info erase as well. There we go. Alex, hello to you. Sounds good, Guido. Thank you much. Now we're accelerating. And Peter, thank you much for the feedback. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. So somebody yesterday said that so I think it was Brennell first of all who said that the ground textures look so washed out or something, and I was like, yeah, but I don't know what it was. And then somebody said check if your monitors are HDR, and I said no, I've never got an HDR, but the latest NVIDIA driver change that I did last week actually switched on HDR in my settings for me. Thank you. So now that they're off, everything's looking better now. Honestly, Rambo, I'm pretty sure that I have no other add-ons installed that create that rattling sound. I don't only have it here in the PMDG, I have it in all aircraft. But RealTurb, let me check. I don't think I have it installed here at the moment. Let me see if I've got RealTurb running. Oh no. It is. It is RealTurb. So that starts automatically every time then. Yeah, I've closed it now, so we should be good now. Lol. Yeah, I didn't even know I had that still installed. I mean, that was for Microsoft 2020. But how does it start automatically if you use 2024? Yeah, Alex, I agree. It sounds a bit weird, yeah. Strange. Yeah, sometimes flight simulating is strange. It's in the XML file. Okay. Guess I'll delete that out then. 20 plus 4, yeah. Good, it's all nice and quiet now. Let's get the seatbelts auto. Can I ask you guys, we've got enough people here in the stream today, thank you much for watching. Can I ask you kind of a personal question? Like, are you worried? So if let's say you go on a holiday tomorrow, and then you find out it's a 787, would you feel uncomfortable, given the current circumstances? Gilent and Ghost say no. Avenger no. Yosem says no, you would go. Peter says no. Jen and Big says no. So 346 SFM work, hello to you. And you say a little bit maybe. If it's Lufthansa, then no. I wonder why. Just not with Air India. Okay, that's an honest answer. Okay, I understand that. Yeah. Ted says not at all. Ralph says no. Depends on the company. Okay, interesting. Okay. And Aviamar sees the same thing. So we've got people saying in general no, but it depends on the company. MacDo says he went on Monday. It felt a bit surreal, but not nervous. Okay. Evan says, well, 737 Max on the other end. Well, Cargo Guy says no as well. Thanks, guys, for answering. Yeah, interesting. And on YouTube, we've got Avinator saying no. Forward says no. So no problem, that is. And Andrea says no problem as well. Nick says not at all. Guido says, I don't like the 787, but that's because of the windows are automatically dimmed and the airlines tend to prolong the night. I hate that. Okay, that's also an honest answer, Guido. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. And I would assume, Guido, you are a frequent traveler, correct? Rambo, to be honest, it was the safest aircraft until now. Yeah, Rambo. That's a very good answer. Yeah. Larry, not at all. Steve. Okay, interesting. Thank you much, Delta Tango. Have a good work. Yeah, Ghost says he would even fly Air India because they had spotless safety records since 1985. Okay. Okay, so Yosem says brother flew in a 787 from Air India a few days before the crash, and he was complaining about the state of the airplane. Everything was broken on the seats, interior, and the toilets. Okay. Lee says no problem flying on the 787. I have to say though that it makes me feel quite uncomfortable that many Boeing factory workers say that they personally would not fly on the plane they just built. Okay, yeah, you got a good point there. Ted, thank you so much, Ted. You too, have a great week. Stay safe. Yes, interesting. So it took a while, but now we got some people coming in and referring to a documentary a few years back. I did see that as well. And the thing is that was a long time ago, for one, and two, there were a lot of claims being made, and up to this time, apart from the initial problems with the batteries, after that was solved, the 787 has a good safety record, right? Not worse than any other aircraft. So all those claims being made by those workers, I'm not saying they're wrong or they're lying. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it's sometimes hard to believe those claims because luckily or thankfully they're not backed up by facts, right? So I can only hope that if there were kind of safety or quality issues, that the management listened and changed that. Delta Tango, at the moment, it's a little bit of a big question mark if I can come to Providence because of some personal issue at the moment at home. So I don't want to go into details, but at the moment, it's not certain that I can come. As sad as it makes me to say that, because I was really hoping to actually booked the flights already. So it would be a shame, yeah, if I can't come. But if I am, definitely we'll hook up Delta Tango. If I do come to Providence, I will give you a shout. Forward, as stupid as it sounds, but after recent events, I think everyone is more aware of issues which could arise with the type. Is it the crew or even maintenance? Yeah, it's a tough one, Forward. So for me, you know, I'm anxious to find out the reasons for the crash, obviously, because I can't believe, or I don't want to believe, that it is purely a technical issue that affects all aircraft. So it could be a technical issue that just affected one aircraft by absolute coincidence, or it could have been maintenance error, you know, you name it. But we have to wait and see what really happened. Interesting error. So recently you were in airport checking in and you overheard someone asking which aircraft would be flown. And then the staff replied, Airbus 320. The customer seemed to be quite relieved. Okay, so to be honest, Aero, I don't think I would know. Well, I would ask maybe my cabin crew if they kind of had an issue with a passenger that, you know, after finding out that they were on a 787, that they want to step down from the flight. I've not heard of that yet, but again, you know, I wouldn't be surprised. Ralph asks, you know, a flight returned to Frankfurt because of a bomb threat. Yes, I heard of that. What do you say in such a situation? Announcement to the passengers. Okay, so Ralph, it's a very delicate topic to discuss openly. So my hands are really tied in this regard. As much as I love to talk about, you know, all aspects of aviation, here a bomb threat is something where obviously you can rest assured that there are clear procedures and protocols that are followed. The thing is that let's put it this way: the only question I would have, Ralph, is how would you feel if the captain made an announcement saying that potentially there is a bomb on board and that's why we're going to land XYZ? How would that make you feel? Hey, Buddy! Mensch, Buddy, ich habe vorhin noch an dich gedacht, Buddy. I hope you're doing well. And how's it looking with the job? Pressing all my thumbs that you're going to get a job soon. And thank you so much for the 95 months, Buddy. Thank you. Vielen Dank. Hey, Urin. Yeah, the sole survivor is a pure miracle. It's one of those miracles. That's all I can say. You fly ultralight in Bavaria. Okay, that is dangerous. That's true. As long as you don't need an update from a Sober for the real aircraft, all will be safe. Yeah. Hey, cool. Yeah, Delta Tango, fantastic. Yeah, then I won't miss you then. Okay, perfect. Flying Paul, hello to you as well. Yeah, so Black Zupa, I'll get to your comment in a second. Let me just read through the rest. Does Airbus have any better safety statings? I don't know. So Dayan, I mean, that's a good question. Out of my, just, you know, if I shoot from the hip, is that a word in English, or a saying in English as well? Aus der Hüfte geschossen? Sounds a bit iffy if you said it in English. But we say, like, you know, if you, like a gut feeling response to that question, I would say no. I don't think that Airbus has a better safety statistic than Boeing. Just out of, you know, out of a feeling, right? Alpha Sky, hello to you. Yes, I agree. Mentor Pilot. So here's my thing with Mentor Pilot. I've always liked his videos, and I still do like his videos. The only thing I haven't liked lately was those live streams to cover what's happened. And he's, unfortunately, he's kind of gone a little bit with the trend of trying to financially, you know, milk the current, well, accidents, right? I mean, but then again, he's covering it in a good technical sense, not like others. He's not speculating too much, which is okay. So can't really say much against that. But yeah, I mean, obviously, it's something I'm not really a fan of right now. And Buddy says everything's just... Oh no, sorry to hear that. Oh no, and your cat died as well. Buddy, es tut mir so leid. Oh no. But age 14, that's still young though, isn't it? Yeah, very sorry. Buddy, I hope things get better soon. Yeah. Yeah, so Black Supra. Yeah, that's the thing, Dynam, right? So Black Supra said you used to love air crash investigations back when it was a Discovery Channel, mostly human error. So I think I've watched all of them, and I'm sure I've watched pretty much all of Mentor Pilot's videos. And I love how he's researching everything, and I can, you know, if you look through these accident reports, they are, so the final reports, they are huge. They have hundreds of pages of information. So to comb through that and then do a really good research to cover all the important aspects, and like I've said yesterday as well in the stream, it's never just one factor that is you know, leading. Usually, not always, but usually it's several factors that lead to an accident. So Swiss cheese model, right, where all of the holes line up, and then the accident happens in the end. Okay, Alpha Sky, perfect. Okay, understand. Yeah, hope you're doing well. And so I personally, the reason why I like to watch these is because I want to learn from them. So I take these incidents and accidents to kind of think through in my head, okay, how would I have reacted, and is my kind of mindset, so the way that I approach problems, is that still good enough to, or maybe would have been good enough to counter that problem and solve that problem, or is that, you know, still something else I have to learn from it and make myself better? Like Captain Joe always says, good pilot is always learning, and that's very true. Buddy says she did not survive an anesthetic procedure. Oh no, Buddy, I'm so sorry. Yeah, Buddy, I hope things are picking up and getting better soon, man. Green Dot Aviation, I think I've seen one or two. Yes, also not a bad channel at all. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so Bronco Lirio also does some good research, and he has messed up as well from time, well, at least once, where he stated another loss of control where it's actually not proven yet, and he got a letter from a lawyer because of that, and from the family of the victim. But he said, you know, he did a good kind of self-reflection. So he said, yeah, I made a mistake. I apologize for that mistake, and I'm going to make sure in the future that I do the research and I think about what I'm saying to make sure that doesn't happen again in the future. Right? So that's really the key thing. Everyone makes a mistake, right, from time to time. So it's a matter of dealing with it. And, accepting, just like me taxing, right? So I took the wrong turn. All right, embarrassing, damn, right? But it happens. Again, try to learn from it. And for me, I looked at the sign again. I tried to see why that sign confused me. And if there is something in the sign that I should have interpreted differently, but that sign said turn left for Sierra 7, so that's why. I'm okay with it. Oh really, Arrow? Okay, so there was an it's a TriStar FE Aviation was very adamant about refusing to fly on the 787 outright. That was 4 years ago. Well, I mean, Arrow, he had his reasons. I would respect that, you know. Yeah, Delta Tango. And you see, and that's the thing with Broncolirio, and that's why I will continue watching his video, because he's humble enough to admit openly, and he has hundreds of thousands of viewers and subscribers, and he's humble enough to accept the fact that he's made a mistake, apologized for it, and then said he'll learn from it and make sure that doesn't happen in the future. Perfect. Alpha, moin. Yes, Air News Germany, I agree. He also does some great research, and definitely does some good videos. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so I mean, you know, if you go through an airline pilot career, it's interesting. I mean, you get a lot of training at the beginning, right? So all of the normal things you have to learn about aviation, right? all those lovely topics like air law and metrology and you name it. And then once you've done that, once you've got the ATPL license, and you actually then go flying airliners, there's so much more to learn. Company procedures, aircraft procedures, standard operating procedures, you name it, right? So much stuff. But on top of that, you have your own character. And obviously, we are all different in the way we live our lives and how we see our lives, how we see ourselves in our surroundings, right? So everyone has a different kind of feel for that and sees the world through different eyes, as they say, quite rightly so. But the thing is that, as I mentioned as well before, it's always fascinated me, and it still does to this very day, especially on a long-range crew, let's say. So you get into the debriefing, right? In my case, I have 10 cabin crew members. I have 2 co-pilots, and then I have 10 cabin crew members. So, you know, when you go into the briefing, the cabin purser will have, so the chief of cabin, you know, he or she will already made their briefing by that time when we pilots join them for the briefing. And we only have a few minutes. We have like 5, maybe 10 minutes to introduce ourselves and build a team. And in those 5 to 10 minutes, you can either, you know, make a really fantastic team within minutes, or you could make big mistakes in the way how you communicate and actually create quite the contrary, right? So that part, especially when you're a captain, is so important. I can't stress it enough. And then what's fascinating is, let's say we go on the very first flight, and 10 minutes after takeoff, we get a really, really hefty and difficult abnormal, where everyone on board has to really perform, right, as a team to get through that. And it works. It works. It's so fascinating. So people, and we talk about people, potentially people that have never met before. And that's what I find absolutely fascinating. So that the training, the selection process, the training can lead to those results. And that's brilliant. Love that. So Avinator, personally, I don't like Captain Steve. He's gone on a path I don't like, to be absolutely frank and honest, especially after the last couple of videos. I find him quite arrogant, and so, you know, he's one of those from the side that I don't like. Okay. What are my thoughts on MPL? Difficult one, Alex, because in some cases it makes sense, you know, but also it kind of ties you to one company, right? So that's also the downside to that. So if you're doing that with a company that is very stable and has good growth rates and, you know, always needs pilots, then yes, why not? But otherwise, sometimes I don't know. It's there can be some downsides to that. I'm trying to find my flight. Oh, there I am. Oh, we're past Saarbrücken already. For EasyJet, it makes sense. Yeah, probably it does, yeah. Yeah, Arrow, well, back then, maybe, yeah, the battery problem was more prominent back then. Maybe that's why. Yeah, so I know I've not been flying the 787 for too long, so it's been 2 years now. Or close to 2 years, but honestly, up to now, it's been working very nice. I've had very little issues with the 787, so take it as it is. I mean, and no worries, Black Super. Do I have a list of YouTubers that I watch in my free time? I used to watch Captain Joe quite a lot, not so much anymore. I do watch Aero News Germany from time to time. I watch Blancalirio. I watch Mentor Pilot, obviously. But that's already pretty much it, because whenever I watch someone else, they don't, or up to now, they haven't convinced me. So that is pretty much the list that I have. It drains very fast, yeah, that's true. Rambo-9, I fly. Ghost, yeah. I had never heard of him. Oh, there we go. Let's contact Zurich. Good evening. Please proceed direct to Bravo Lima Mike. Expect to cross 150 and call me 20 nautical miles inbound, Bravo Mike Lima. Roger. Oops. Hello? Why can't I write Roger? There we go. Roger. Good. So he said proceed direct to Jesus Christ. What happened? What happened, guys? Has a stream crashed or? So now expect 150. I got the message. Expect to cross 150. I'm going to put this like that. So we're going to descend already. So let's do that. 150. Oh, the window beep. Oh, okay. Now I gotcha. The window beep got you frightened. Okay. Yeah, anti-cooperative. I had that in the US on VATSIM. Not so much in Europe. Interesting, right? So we got 150 VNAV path. Oh, he's very, very, very nice. So he says appreciate it. That's cool. So 20 miles inbound. So I'm going to put that into the fixed page as a reminder. And just put 20 miles distance around that. There we go. Cool, guys. I mean, we can chat a little bit more after the flight, because I do want to go through some aspects of takeoff performance, because I know that's always something that's actually quite complicated to learn. But I always find it fascinating. Maybe because I'm a nerd in that regard, but I do find it fascinating as a topic. So we'll go through performance calculations for takeoff after landing, and then oh, Avengers, what was it? So let's do a quick check here for the arrival. Hey, Morval, no worries. Thank you so much again for the control. I love it. Was I talking to you, by the way? Was I talking to you in LSZH? I was talking to someone from VATSIM Amsterdam. Lovely person, and had a good chat with him. Oh, it's an average greenhouse, Avenger. I thought so. It looked like a greenhouse, but then probably wrong elevation data. So that looks good. So Baal, Mulhouse, Baal. Then we go 677. Then to Gipol, and it's got 677 120 above, and then Gipol 7000 above. That's already correctly programmed. We then go onto that Gipol 14 transition or radar vectors. We'll have to wait and see what we get from the controllers. The should still be online. Fantastic. And then if not, we'll just follow the initial arrival routing as published to Osnam, and then from Osnam 4000 above, it's the final descent, ILS-14. So yeah, so minimum's gonna be 1610, all aircraft types, so 1610. Let's put that in. $33050. Roger that.
One patrol level KLM 7 Bravo.
Zurich, good civil. The KLM 711 Bravo 277 descending flight level 150.
KLM 711 Swiss radar code NAVA identified. Cleared Bravo Lima Mike 3 Golf arrival. Descent flight level 190.
Descent flight level 190 and the Bravo Lima Mike 3 Golf arrival. Copied. KLM 711 Heavy. Oh, okay, Morval, you were there at LSZH, but I didn't talk to you. Okay, maybe next time. I do plan to come next year as well. So 190 is now set. So let's check the missed approach as well.
60 Alpha Swiss Rider, hello, climb flight level 230.
So it's going to go 5.1 from the ILS DME. And then we're going to turn left 359 until Zurich 8. 4,000 below, correct. Then go to Zurich 6,000 above. And then we go to Amiki, climbing 7,000 in total. So we're going to dial in 4,000 later for the missed approach, guys. Very important, okay? Are they landing 2.8s? No, hang on. Last time I checked, it was 1.4. Okay, but let me check. 1.8 would be that would be pushing it. Let's have a look.
Flight level 190.
190, Seabird 2
Speedbird 712 Tango.
Yes, it will be the Gipol transition, yeah.
270 knots.
270 from conversion, US
Yeah, it's so weird with the PMDG doing those ATISes. So it's information Juliet, departure 32. It is arrival 28. Speeding up 300 knots or greater, KLM 711 heavy. Yeah, here we go.
Swiss radar is Swiss 282, flight level 100.
Give me a minute, I'll call you back shortly.
Yeah, it is 28 for landing. QNH 1023.
There we go, says 282.
Oh, beautiful.
Low climb flight at level 350.
Climb level 350, Swiss 282.
KLM 76 Bravo, contact Zurich arrival 135.230, ciao.
So speed, vertical speed.
135.230 for KLM 76 Bravo, thank you.
Wow, I've got a lot of sound cuts again today, so it just feels today for some reason the servers are really struggling. Okay, so we got 1,000 feet to go. Let's put this to 1,000 feet. And then actually let's do that here. So let's do the performance calculation.
Swiss 183 Alpha, Swiss radar low, yeah, you're right.
24.
Flight level 300.
Yeah, 1,000 feet to go. 220 tons. The weather. Yeah, looking.
Swiss 183 Alpha, proceed direct.
Although that's going to be 030. So let me try that. 030 at.
Swiss 183 Alpha,
4.
proceed direct Eton.
Oh, sorry, I believe I stepped on you there. Proceeding direct to Eton for the
Appreciate speed per 644.
Oh, hang on, landing. There's landing.
Bye-bye.
123, that's right. For speedbird
28.
644, thank you.
Import. So we want to have.
Welcome, at least 247, speed 2 faster.
Hey, Captain Chaos. Yeah, that's true. Captain Chaos, thank you much for the 69 months. All good, we're on landing. We're on landing en route. Don't worry about it. I was just testing you. So let's do 5 knot additional. There you go. Test successful. There we go. Right, that's really pushing it. So we're going to go with 4. Hey, yeah, it's going to get hot brakes for sure. Yeah.
Descent flight level 130.
Descent flight level 130, KLM 711 heavy. Right, let's do 130, and then we've got to change something as well. So let's do ILS 28. The GPOL 28 transition, execute. Nice, it has sequenced that automatically as well, that's cool. That's very nice. Look at that, there's the airport. Is it? No, it's not, that's Basel. Well, another airport. Basel Airport coming up. And let's have a look here at the charts. So we get rid of that. That's going to be confusing. So approach, search.
Swiss radar, good day. KLM 1 for Tango, heavy flight level 2860, sending flight level 150.
So that's going to be the 28 transition. This one here.
Low, you are identified. Clit Bravo Lima Mike 3, call for arrival, descent flight level 150.
Bravo Lima.
So that's going to be the transition. We'll check that in a second.
150, okay, then 1 for Tango heavy.
KLM 711, contact, correction, KLM 711, reduce speed 250 knots.
Speed back 250 knots, KLM 711 heavy.
KLM 711, contact Zurich arrival 135.230, ciao.
35230, ciao. KLM 711 heavy, thank you.
So when ready, descent flight level 190, level Dakar, so.
Well, a lot of work to do right now.
Ready descent, flight level 1.
Oh, hang on. 135.
Copenhagen, Swiss 1 Roman Tango, flight level 277.
230.
Swiss 1 Romeo Tango, Swiss Rider, hello, identified, cleared Bravo Lima Mike 3, call for arrival.
Left hand 9 Alpha Lima, turn left wing 140, descent flight level 80.
Well, the thing is so easy, Mark. The thing is that 28 technically isn't too short. We can land on that. Zurich arrival, good see all, KLM 711 heavy, 160, descending 130, speed 250.
KLM 711, Zurich arrival identified, descent flight level 100, expect ILS 28.
Descent level 100, expect ILS 28. We have information, Juliet, KLM 711 heavy.
Correct.
Okay, so
47, descent flight level 80.
So we're going to go Gipol 445, 447, 449, 451, 453, 455, 457, 459, 460, 7,000 above, then 464, Ramem. That looks all good. And then approach will take 28. Gonna get rid of that. So approach 28. Ramem. We have a higher than normal glide slope, I'm sure, 3.3 degrees. So flap 30 is definitely key, as well as the shorter runway. Minimums in this case, delta with a climb grade of 4%, we can do that. 777 here, easy. 2110. 2110. So a little bit higher this time. 2110. Set. And there the misapproach goes from runway 28.
125, 33,
we only go 2.5 miles past the station, left, max 210, onto 193 degrees track, climb 7,000, so 4,000 initially, then 7,000, and then we go
KLM 711, turn right heading 110.
Right heading 110, KLM 711 heavy. Heading 110. So we fly that to Gipol. You can see that here. But 4,000 initially. Cool. Important things now to mention are the sector altitudes. Obviously, it is a bit mountainous here, so we got 4.5, 5, 6 to the north, south. Further to the south here, it's going to get very high, 9,200, and to the west is 4,500. So,
right 110, select this for runway 28, you are done 110.
Now we're probably going to park here. Dock Echo, hopefully. We'll ask with the tower if we can vacate to the right. Yeah, so landing distance available. We have... just checking my chart here. We have available 2,500 meters. And Bravo 9 is 2,400. Echo we're not going to get, but Bravo 9.
KLM 14 Tango Heavy, information Juliet, speed 250 knots, signed to descending flight level 130, currently
so let's have a look.
KLM 14 Tango, Zurich arrival identified, descent flight level 100, expect ILS 28. Descent 100, expect ILS 28, KLM 14 Tango Heavy.
Yeah, maybe Bravo 7 as well. Bravo 7, Bravo 9. But we're not going to make Echo. That's too short. So we're going to have to cross 16. And then go Bravo 7 or Bravo 9. Probably to the right. Good. Now, that's Zurich Airport right there. Beautiful. Look at the scenery. Love it. Very nice. No, so Daniel, we always... 2-3, hang on. What did I see? Let me check. Let me check.
Flight level 70,
No, because I looked at the climb rate, so I can do 4% climb rate for the missed approach. I can do that with a very light 777. That's no problem. So that's why it's 2110. We always round up to the next 10 feet here on our fleet, so 2110. But thank you for letting me check that. That's all right.
247, speed 210 knots.
Speed 210, it is 247.
Easy 311, turn right heading 360.
Rocco, no, unfortunately it didn't work for me, no. So I couldn't get the PDC and I couldn't even log on.
Louis 247, contact final, 125.330 call sign only.
Right, seatbelts on. Signs on, coming up 10,000 out.
KLM 76 Bravo, descent flight level 70.
So what I'll do, I'm going to sequence the flight plan here. Oh, okay, of course not. So, this
311, speed 210 knots.
So here we go.
Speed 210 knots, speed 211.
And India Zulu Whiskey is already identified. Lovely. Good, let's read the descent checklist, shall we? Oh, actually, first of all, descent items, flaps 30, auto brake 4.
Left 090.
Left turn 090, KLM 76 Bravo.
1 recall check.
KLM 76 Bravo, contact final, 125.
And let's do a descent checklist. Recall check, notes checked. So there's no notes in here. Notes checked. Auto brake 4. We have landing data. VREF 140, minimum baro 2110 feet. Approach briefing completed. Descent checklist complete. Wow, my system is stressed out again.
311, turn right heading 060. Heading
It looks beautiful. Zurich downtown. How cool is that? Lake Zurich there. Gorgeous.
711, descent flight level 80.
Descent level 80, KLM 710 heavy.
KLM 14 Tango, turn right heading 110. Turn right heading 110.
Speed, vertical speed 80. Cabin ready. Fantastic.
With an object, Swiss 1 Roman Tango, flight level 165.
Swiss 1 Roman Tango, arrival identified. Descent flight level 1.
Hi Rogoth, hello to you. How are you doing?
Right heading 110, vector ILS 28.
Yes, Sapphire Wave, I agree. Maybe that's the older standards of the FMS.
Heading 110.
But yeah, we gotten used to it being cyan in color, the missed approach path, correct? Blocked.
711, turn left heading 090.
Left 090, KLM 711.
Left 34 Charlie, squawk mode Charlie.
So we have let's do Cloten.
Left 34 Charlie identified, climb 6,000 feet.
Zulu.
Climb 6,000 feet,
Uniform Echo in here.
Charlie, no speed restriction.
Good.
No speed restriction.
Yep, I think we've done everything. Downtown Zurich. Wow, amazing. Hey Yoda, beautiful.
KLM 711, contact final 125.330. Call sign only.
Call sign only 125.330. Dankeschön, just KLM 711.
KLM 711, descent flight level 70 first.
Okay, first we'll descend 70, KLM 711.
Seatbelt 712 Tango, descent.
Zurich final, grüezi wohl. KLM 711 heavy.
KLM 711 final, hello. KLM 76 Bravo, turn left 360.
Left turn 360, KLM 76 Bravo.
On 2020 it's dark? Really? I'm pretty sure I'm on live time, so this is what it should look like. And do you think it's upgrading worth from 1080 to 2K screen? Yes. Yes, I do think so. Oh yeah, so Julent is confirming.
247, contact Zurich Tower 118, just move on.
So in 2020, it's a lot darker.
181 degrees 247.
Okay.
KLM 76 Bravo, descent 5,000 feet, QNH 1023.
Wow, what an aircraft.
Descent 5,000, QNH 1023, KLM 76 Bravo.
He did say level 70, correct? Or was it 7,000? KLM 71, I have just confirmed it's 7,000 on QNH 1023.
KLM 711, flight level 70.
Okay, flight. Okay, flight level 70, copied. I was getting worried because
76 Bravo 10 left heading 290.
I thought I saw 7,000 somewhere on the approach chart, but could be wrong. If in doubt, always ask. It's just a lot safer that way. Oh, another feature I always love using in the real aircraft, and the PMDG has it, and that is
711, reduce speed 210 knots.
Reducing 210, KLM 711. The off-path descent function. Hey, Lilienthal, good evening.
KLM 76 Bravo, speed 180.
So 210 means we have to get some flaps out.
Speed 180.
So I put the bug, first of all, to the up speed.
Zero approach, speedbird 712 Tango.
Speedbird 712 Tango, final, hello.
So off-path descent, I'm going to get the RAMEM in here.
KLM 711, turn left, heading 360.
Or not. Left heading 360, KLM 711. Yikes! $360. So now I'm going to put RAMEM first of all. So I can't show you that feature because
KLM 711, descent 6,000 feet, QNH 1023.
Descent 6,000, QNH 1023, KLM 711. So let's do flight level change. 1023 is set. Flaps 1. Flaps 1, 210. Inbound course is 273.
311, fan, hello. KLM 76 Bravo, speed 160 knots, greater.
Speed 160 over at KLM 76 Bravo.
KLM 711, turn right, heading 300.
Confirm left heading 300, KLM 711.
Yeah, sorry, that's a nice.
Whew. He had me worried there for a second.
712 Tango, speed 210 knots.
210 knots, 712 Tango.
Right, let's descend. Flaps 5.
76 Bravo, no speed restrictions.
I need to get some drag out here. Flaps 5.
118.1 KLM.
It is a big bird, yeah.
KLM 711, descent 5,000 feet, cleared RLS approach runway 28, report established. Descent
5,000, get LS 28, I call you established. KLM 711. Ooh, 5,000, speed brakes out. Let's descend a bit quicker. Cleared for the approach. Lock, glide slow arms. And there's the runway.
Left 360, speedbird 712 Tango.
Lock. Flaps 10. So that's 10 or was it 15 here? No, it's 15.
KLM 711, speed 180 knots or greater.
180 or more, KLM 711. Good, flaps 15. Come on, catch the glide slope. Come on, come on, come on.
Speedbird 712 Tango, turn left heading 330.
Left 330, speedbird.
Minor flights. There you go, glide slope. 180 or more. Oh, correct. Disregard. So that's the thing in real life. What I do whenever I have the speed brake lever out, I would put my hand on the speed brake lever, so not to forget to stow it again.
KLM 711, no speed restrictions, contact Zurich Tower 118, that's move on.
No speed restrictions, 18-1. Thank you, KLM 711.
DZ 311, distance 6,000 feet, QNH 1023.
Descend 6,000 feet, QNH 1023, EZ 01.
Libra 712 Tango, descend 5,000 feet.
I should be getting a radio panel soon. Let's get the flight directors off. Not a pretty approach. This bird doesn't like to slow down, I have to say. Flaps 20. Tower good. See the KLM 711 on LS28.
KLM 711, Zurich Tower, good. See, continue approach after landing, vacate left, Lima 7 or later.
Okay, Lima 7 or later to the left. Copy KLM 711. We're slowly getting there. Flaps 30, 25 and flaps 30.
020 degrees, 3 knots, runway 28, clear to land.
Runway 28, clear to land, KLM 6 Bravo.
So 4,000 for the missed approach. This is a lot to handle, I'm not going to lie. At the moment, I'm in stress. So land approach checklist altimeter 1023. And the landing checklist completed.
From the crossing runway.
Copy it, KLM 711. Woo, we're ready.
KLM 76 Bravo, welcome to Zurich. Taxi via Lima, hold short. Approaching minimums.
So as we brief, the problem is, continue, that the glide slope is steeper anyways. 3.3 degrees. And we are really fast. So we're fast, we're heavy. It's really tough to get the aircraft descending. There's the crossing traffic.
300.
Oh, careful sync rates. Correcting.
KLM 711, wind 020 degrees, 3 knots, runway 28, clear to land.
Runway 28, clear to land, KLM 711. That just went so fast. Blimey.
100.
Zurich Tower, speed 712, establish our dash runway 28.
50. 40,
712 Tango, Zurich Tower,
20,
clear. After landing, vacate to the right,
10,
runway 34 available, set to vacate.
Alright, speed brakes up, reverse are normal.
902 contact arrival 135, listen to 3 0 RD.
135 to 0 to Simon to RD.
KLM 76 Bravo, cross runway 34, contact apron 121.
I'm gonna take the end here. Who put the taxi ribbons on for crying out loud? Manual brakes. Oh no. Oh, I hate it sometimes with that.
Now that's how pros...
How? How can you... Why does it activate itself? Oh. Oh, that was a lot to do single pilot, not gonna lie.
Tower 723 Tango, thanks for your patience. Wind 020 degrees, 3 knots, runway 32, clear for takeoff.
I'm not gonna lie, that was a lot.
Clear for takeoff, runway
No.
32, Tower 723 Tango.
Seabird 712 Tango, wind 020 degrees, 3 knots.
Let's do the after landing items.
Alright, clear land, Seabird 712 Tango.
KLM 711, welcome to Zurich. Taxi via Lima, Echo 7, cross runway 34.
Lima Echo 7 cross runway 34, KLM 711.
2 Papa Charlie, line up and wait runway 32.
Line up and wait 32.
So let's see, terrain, traffic. Right, so that is off. We'll do TCAS off.
KLM 711, contact apron 121, decimal 755 RD.
121.755, Dankeschön, grüezi, the KLM 711. Oh.
Tower 723 Tango, contact arrival 135, 230 RD.
So I'm going to slow down here a bit, my taxi speed, because I need to catch my breath. I'm like way behind. Good God. 121.755. I am getting a physical panel for the Boeing aircraft for the frequencies. So hopefully that means it's a bit easier to get the frequencies in. Follow the blues, yeah, exactly. Do I have a tutorials on landings? Yes, I do on my channel. It was set more for the A320, but it's also valid for other aircraft. So cross tree 4 was already given. So let me just concentrate, make sure that there's nobody taking off here or landing. Nobody taking off or landing. Good. Strobes are coming on. Zurich ground, good to all the Caleb 711 just crossing 34.
Taxi straight ahead, Bravo 31.
Straight ahead, gate Bravo 31. Dankeschön, Caleb 711. Oh, finally we can breathe. Search airport, and then we go here. Bravo 31. Oh, it's right at the end. Okay, interesting. Is that even legal? Are we allowed to park there? Start the APU. Captain Chaos, honestly, not in this configuration. So not with the complexity that we have in these aircraft. So there needs a lot to be done. To make that happen, single pilot in a 777. I don't see that myself yet, to be honest. And Bob, how you doing? There you go, Bob, just for you. Didn't look like it, but yeah, it's fine. It's fine. We'll fit. That's beautiful. Yeah, that's the thing. So Black Super, I do get asked quite often, and not. It's not an easy question to answer. Like, you know, what do you see as the biggest changes going forward? And it's such a difficult question to answer. So let's say if the left wing says hello to the terminal, but I think we're good. Famous last words. I think we're good. Now, why do I have two of these docking systems? Who do I trust? Trust this one. Let's do that. APU running, shutdown items. Ghost, yeah, I hope you have a less stressful time than me. I'm not gonna lie, that was quick. Good, so let's do that. Then we'll do for the shutdown. Again, for the hydraulics, it's a really strict procedure. So for the shutdown, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Fuel pumps off. Beacon off. TCAS.
Just confirm Charlie 5.
And then we'll go with the shutdown checklist. Parking brake set, and that's the shutdown checklist
Name
complete.
is Charlie 5757, that's okay, but just says Charlie 57, not just 57.
Yeah, it's okay. It does fit. Wow, okay. I didn't think that was possible, but hey, here we go. Here we are.
712 Tango, hello, taxi, stand 56, via
What, you think it doesn't matter for the... I got that from the operating manual.
Tango, your request was blocked by me saying something again, question 96 and Echo 57, question...
Rebonius, once again, thank you so much, take care.
Echo 56, fly Foxtrot, 071 Tango.
Rambo, that's you. Oh, that's you there. Ah, nice. How was your landing, Rambo? Hope you weren't as stressed out as I was. Man, it's a nice airport. That is a nice airport.
I'm actually getting really tired. Bravo 35, I think. Bravo 35,
So I have landed on runway 28 IRL many times, and well, many times, maybe 5 times, 10 times, and it is a challenge. More available, it means I haven't done the update. Oh, hang on, no, and what's this? You're right, what's this? Is that like, that gate is not normally... Oh, I know why, yeah, it's at medium. So I could customize, no, hang on, not customize, I could customize the gate. No, okay, can't do that now, but you can do that. So we got someone coming in now, landing as well. Edelweiss. Beautiful. Black Super, thanks so much. Take care, good night to you. Yeah, so for me, what I noticed, and again, I don't fly the 777 IRL just yet, so I have a feeling that it is a bit too floaty, meaning it really has a hard time descending. I mean, I was like descending with full speed brakes. And the flaps, you know, at 5, I think. And then later at 15, so... I don't know what else to do, really, to get the aircraft to descend. So, door, let's disarm all. Let's... Oh, hang on. Just around. Sorry. It is open. Ah, they are open. Oh, okay, okay. Good. Well, no, so it's the 787 is definitely very, very hard to descend, but to be honest, I didn't expect that from the 777. And the PMDG 777 in P3D especially had the problem that it was just way too clean. So as you can see, the scenery is from MK Studios. Lol. Looks nice though. The sky colors look great. Yeah, they look great. Yeah, love it as well. Very nice. Yeah, lovely colors there. Someone else coming in with the 777. 777 Fest here in...
Charlie Whiskey exiting runway 162,
Ghost, is that you?
Alpha 13 via link 3, LV33 Charlie,
Still busy. Oh, good that nobody else has said.
Taxi Echo 64 via Foxtrot.
There you go.
Taxi Echo 64 via Foxtrot.
Oh yeah. I have to admit, this is actually a really cool feature in 2024. Do I think if the FS Labs Neo would come before August? I have no idea. I would say yes, but I have no idea, to be honest. So, a couple of weeks ago, I did a walk around again on the 787, and I got to the engine, and I was like, blimey. I mean, the engines are so big. It's just... so when you stand in front of them, you realize how huge these engines are. And then imagine walking around, doing the outside check here. That's a long walk. So if you walk all around the aircraft... So this, honestly, so as much as I complain about Microsoft Flight Sim sometimes, but visually, this is great. Apart from, okay, that's not realistic. Where's the high loaders, for crying out loud? Oh, GSX. Walking is healthy, that's true. Nice. Yeah, VATSIM sometimes has on Microsoft 2024 especially. Yeah, the landing gear mismatch. Gilend. Okay, so that was you then. Thank you much, Gilend, for flying along. Just wondering, Ghost. So Ghost is still out then? Ghost hasn't landed yet. Yeah, Mobile, I agree. X-Plane has on the Challenger 650 also a fantastic walk-around mode, yeah. So I can only assume Ghost is really, really busy right now with his landing. He can't reply. He can't type as well. Well, that looks like a big aircraft. Hang on. That could be Ghost. Ghost, come on, you can do it. Nah, it's a 320. Disregard. Speedbirds. Yeah, but this looks great. So from a content creator point of view, I am thankful. I'm really grateful to, you know, Microsoft, Asobo. That was Marco, yeah, as if. Was it Air Serbia? I thought that was. I thought that was. Okay. Yeah, but yeah. So this is actually really nice. I mean, you know, coming from FSX and P3D. Mark, sorry, but that's not your time to fly usually, is it? At least I don't know. Last time you flew along on one of my flights. Unless we do like shared flight. then you have to. You have no choice that way. Multi-views, yeah. Oh, terrible. Right, let's see. Did I miss any questions? Okay, guys, so we're going to go, if you're interested, we are going to go, it's going to take 5 to 10 minutes. And we're just going to give you some basics regarding takeoff performance calculations, okay? And why sometimes you do get some weird results or why sometimes aircraft use up a very long runway, even though the aircraft itself is not actually that heavy. Oh, Ghost, I missed you. I looked, and I thought that was you here now. Oh, that's a 350. Okay. Ethiopian. And that had landing gear out. Nice. Cool. Well, this is SU2. Vanilla. So SU2 looks fine as well, in my opinion. So what we're going to do, I'm going to dial down the sounds just a tad from the game, so I don't have to shout, and then I'll do the overlay with the iPad.
Hotel Alpha 8 sector.
Really? So SU3 looks even better. Wow. I mean, I don't know how it's going to look even better, but hey, I'm happy to hear that.
Good night, Black Box.
Good night, Voyager. You're bailing out. You're not listening to my, to my performance tutorial. Shame on you. No, all good. Mach's gut, Voyager. Bis nächste Woche. Next stream is Tuesday next week. I'm going to be flying IRL, so unfortunately unable to stream until I get back. So next stream then will be. Mark, I haven't even started yet. And he's bored. Hey, LA Aviation, good evening. So let's see. Can we see everything here? That looks alright. Okay, so let's see AirPlay here.
Hello, speed up 720 Tango on Bravo. Speed up 720 Tango, April, hello, taxi, stand Echo 46 via Bravo, link 4.
There we go, now that's completely cool.
Bravo and link 4 to Echo 46, confirm,
Cool. So, very, very, very basic, guys. So, again, it's not too complicated, trust me. And if you have questions, do chime in. Happy to get questions here. Hang on. Why is it doing that? Come on. There we go. Yeah, you should try Boeing again, yeah. Ghost. Right, so, let's see if that works. Okay, so, let's start with the V2, right? So the takeoff safety speed, it has different names. Single engine climb out speed, whatever, right? But V2 speed, we've all heard of it. We calculate that every time. So we get V1, VR, V2 speed. So it's the lowest safe climb speed, which must be attained at screen height. And that's the important thing. So what's screen height? Screen height is your calculation point at the end of the takeoff process, where on a dry runway, we have to reach 35 feet. On a wet runway, it's 15 feet. And honestly, 15 feet in the 777 is a joke. Right? That's nothing. Right? But that's how it's calculated. So it has usually a 20% margin to the conventional stall speed, just as a reference, okay? So V2 will be bigger or equal 1.1 VMCA, so minimum control speed air, or 1.13 of the stall speed 1G. That's for the Airbus series. Don't worry about this, but you can be rest assured when you have V2, you have enough airspeed so that the rudder is powerful enough to counteract any asymmetric thrust with full takeoff thrust on the other engine. Okay. The VR, the only restriction for VR really has to be 1.05 times minimum control speed air. And then, of course, V1 has to be greater than VREF. And VREF, so the reference speed, has to be greater or equal to VMCG, meaning minimum speed, control speed on the ground. Right? In case you have an engine failure, so that when you have an engine failure at V1, you can control the asymmetric tendency with the rudder. So that's the only restriction there. Good. Okay, so now Now we come to the nitty-gritty part. When you are in your aircraft and you work out, it doesn't matter what add-on it is, because I mean, all add-ons have a basic kind of performance calculator. So you go to performance tool, go for takeoff. So let's say we're here on Zurich. Zurich has an interesting configuration there, but if we take runway 28, the shortest one, and let's say we have 220,000 kilograms of takeoff weight, CG, we'll make it 25, something standard, 25%. We have anti-ice off, rating optimum, and air conditioning automatic as well. Let's take the current weather, bit of tailwind. So now, when we calculate the performance, it will give us a flap setting, very important. We'll get the flap settings in a minute, but flap setting 5 is pretty much standard for the 777 and 787 on a normal long runway in normal conditions. We have a rating of takeoff 2. I mean, that's not heavy takeoff weight for the 777-300. That's pretty light. And then we get a assumed temperature as well, 43 degrees. So we are reducing the thrust to a level where we can achieve all those legal limits that I'm going to tell you about now, so that we can make sure that the weight of 220 tons is light enough to get airborne with and climb out in case of engine failure just after V1, given the V2 speed of 156 knots. So then the question is, well, does that mean that we always take off or lift off at the end of the runway? That's a question for you guys, so the experts under you. So if you see those values here, are we going to lift off right at the end necessarily? Yes, exactly. No, it doesn't. And the reason being is that the calculators that we have, so the real world especially, they calculate lots of different cases for the takeoff. Let me just get my... So when we do our calculations for the performance limited takeoff weight, PTOF, we have to consider 3 cases. There's the field length limit takeoff weight, there's the climb performance limit takeoff weight, and there's an obstacle clearance limited takeoff weight. So these are 3 cases that are all calculated separately by those programs. I'm not saying PMDG does that. It's just probably PMDG is a bit simpler. Maybe PMDG takes into account the runway length a little bit, maybe the climb out, I'm not sure. It's hard to tell what they actually do calculate. Now, furthermore, limits that we have on takeoff is the maximum tire speed, which is around 205 to 220 knots in that region for the big jets. Then also with the maximum brake energy speed. What's that? The max braking energy speed is, let's say you have a very long runway and you could theoretically put the balanced V1, I'll get to that in a minute what that is. You could put the balanced V1 at 170 knots to get an improved climb out. You are at 180 knots, right? And then you are at, I don't know, 330 tons. Imagine if you did the takeoff abort at 180 knots, right before V1, let's say, and you have to bring 330 tons to a standstill in the shortest distance possible. So max braking without the landing gear or the wheels locking up. That's such a huge amount of energy that the brake discs have to absorb. And so that's why you have a maximum brake energy speed. That means the manufacturers, depending on what kind of brake discs you have, be it steel or be it carbon discs, whatever, they have to prove Right, yeah. Twitch got bored. OBS got bored. OBS fell asleep. Sorry, guys. Yeah. It doesn't handle these theoretical sessions too well. But anyways, here we are, back again. So, let's see. There we go. All right, test. You guys can hear me. Just to get my viewers on YouTube. So let's see. Let's see if the rest is back. Yeah, we're back. Yeah. Hang on. There we go. Yeah, they have to prove, was the last you got, thank you. Yeah, so they have to prove that the manufacturers of these brake discs, they have to prove that the let's see, back again. There we go. So they have to prove that the brake discs can absorb a certain amount of energy, right? So that's why. So that's why you have a max brake energy speed, and then at the end point you also have runway strength as a limit regarding your PTOW. But for us, really, what's really interesting is these field length limit, climb performance limited, and obstacle clearance limited takeoff weight. So what does it mean? Hang on, where's my...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Captain Black Box infotainment experience.
Thank you very much.
New subscribers should now pick up their pass to first class. Thank you.
I almost hate it when that technology doesn't...
Smile.
Thanks so much. I'm smiling. So you're during the pilot. Thank you so much for the 5 months. Thank you. Much appreciated. So let's see. There we go. We're going to expand that at the bottom there. All right. So before we get to clearway and stopway, let me get to a picture. Where is it? Here we go. So I was talking about the question if the calculator always calculates us lifting up pretty much at the end of the runway. And no, it doesn't, okay? So the main course really is usually, assuming you don't have a stopway and you don't have a clearway. We'll get to that in a minute, what that is. Stand by. So, yeah, let's see. I have a feeling that Microsoft 2024 is really stressing out the system so much that OBS crashes from time to time. We're lucky that we didn't have a problem flying or doing the flight. So we should be back. It's a bit of a shame because now that we get these interruptions, it's a bit difficult to keep track of what I said. So here's airplane. Does that work? Yeah, at least that works still. Someone has not paid the internet bill. I have, honestly, I have. But let's see. Is it still live on YouTube? Dual engine failure on Twitch now, yeah. Yeah, but we should be back, correct? Yeah, we are back. Okay, now. Anybody question up to now? Because I haven't really covered much, but... Hang on, guys. Don't panic. Should be live. Refresh your browsers, please. There we go. So people are saying they can see that. Lovely. So there we go. Okay. hopefully it'll hold for the next 5 minutes. Why is VREF calculated? Well, maybe for a return, or at least that you have that rule of thumb. So VREF plus 80 gives you clean speed, plus 60 flap 1 maneuvering, plus 40 maneuvering flaps 5 and so on.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Captain.
Thank you, Peter. And Wilty, thank you so much for Twitch Prime.
New subscribers
welcome.
should now pick up their pass to first class. Thank you.
Thank you, Wilty, for your support. Welcome to the community. Yeah, so it's just, I guess it's just really a information where the reference speed for that weight for flaps 30 would be, right? And that's always usually the max landing flap setting configuration for that. Right, the biggest thing really you need to understand is usually those calculators will get you a balanced field length limited takeoff weight. All right, so it's a calculation where the accelerate stop case, so the aircraft accelerates, gets the engine failure at the V1, and then stops somewhere on the runway. That's the same distance as accelerating to V1, get the engine failure just after, continue to takeoff run, lift off, and reach that screen height of 35 or 15 feet, depending on if it's a dry runway or a wet runway. All right. Now, that doesn't mean that's what initially when I first learned about this, I thought mentally it means that you're always going to end up at the end of the runway. No, of course not. Right. So quite often what happens is that you get values for V1, VR, V2 for a balanced field length limit case, and then you hear your stop margin is like 300 meters, for example, right? Or in some cases, the calculator will say, well, for your takeoff weight, that's the value, and the max performance overall, if you used maximum thrust, would be like, let's say that would be for 80 tons, and then it says somewhere that the max possible takeoff weight would be 90 tons. That means that your balanced V1 is within the confines of the runway somewhere. It doesn't tell exactly where, unfortunately. For us in the professional world, we do get information what our stop margin is. Right? So we do that, accelerate to V1, abort the takeoff, come to a stop, and still have like 300 meters buffer to the end of the runway. Right? That's the idea. Now, there's some cases where we have a clearway or a stopway. Well, what's a clearway and what's a stopway? So a clearway is an area beyond the path of the runway. It's free of obstructions and under the control of the airport authorities. And the length of the clearway may be included in the length of the takeoff distance available, right? So as you can imagine, if you have an unbalanced field takeoff, so unbalanced because the takeoff run go is not the same distance as the accelerate stop distance, it's unbalanced. So in this case, if you have a clearway beyond the runway, so the runway ends here, of course, when the runway ends here, you have to be able to stop at this point. So this is not a stopway, this is just a clearway, meaning physically you're not allowed to roll onto that area. So that's a calculation for the takeoff stop case, all right? So that V1 that you get here, you can rest assured that when you get the V1 call, just prior to V1, if you have to do the RTO, you will be able to stop prior to the end of the runway. Now, for the go case, what happens is that you continue then after V1 with the engine failure, you continue with the takeoff run. At some point, you will lift off, but it takes longer this time to lift off. Nevertheless, you are airborne, of course, by the end of the runway, but your screen height is later, beyond the runway threshold, right? So that way, you will get a V1. If you have a clearway, that's usually smaller than the balanced V1, right? And so this is so condition where you have either clearway or stopway is available, allowing the balanced V1 to be decreased or increased in order to maximize the field length limited takeoff weight. So that's the idea behind the clearway or stopway. So what's a stopway? A stopway is an area beyond the normal runway where you can physically continue to taxi or roll on to stop the aircraft, right? But it may not be clear of obstacles left or right of the runway. So that's why it's only a stopway. It's not a clearway where you can fly, right? Where you can fly normally, lifting off, but you can't lift off later. So you have to reach those 35 or 15 feet screen height at the end of the runway. But if you do an RTO, you will continue and you can then calculate so that you get to stop at the end of the stopway. So obviously then the V1 will be bigger than the normal balanced V1 because you have more time for that decision speed to arrive, because you have more time to stop the aircraft. So basically insert the takeoff distance available for takeoff run available, but make sure V1 margin is greater than the length of the clearway. Well, at least for half, because normally it will take half of the clearway. I think that's the maximum you're allowed to do. So max half clearway where you reach that 35 feet. Right. But, don't get hung up too much about these calculations. Just be aware that if you ever come across things like clearway or stopway, right, that's what it means, right? So we got clearway for the go case and the stopway is for the stop case, right? And that way you can change the V1 decision speed, meaning, because, the V1, obviously, let's assume you always do a full power takeoff, right? So you do a full power takeoff, the heavier you are, the longer it takes to reach a certain decision speed, right? So if you don't have a clearway and you don't have a stopway, the bigger the heavier you get, the smaller V1 it gets, right? Because you've got to stop before the end of the runway. And the good thing is that you don't have to calculate that yourself with tables anymore. So you have these calculators, and these calculators do some crazy calculations. Now, this is the calculation path. Is the dispatch threshold opposite runway also? Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. It can be, yes. Not always. So sometimes displaced thresholds are there to get the necessary obstacle clearance in the approach. But yes, sometimes if they have the strength, then for the opposite direction, they could be used for stopways, yes. Yeah, the yellow chauffeurs, exactly. It depends on the markings, absolutely correct. Yeah. Yeah, so Captain Chaos, if that's the case, those areas will never be stopways. Never. Right? Even though they are there to make sure that you don't overrun, you will not have them as stopways. No way. I don't think so. Yeah. So this obviously is something you will learn in ATPL theory. So the field length limited takeoff weight. So the amount of weight your aircraft can take off with under certain conditions with temperature, pressure, and so on, runway length, has to be calculated for so many different cases. So for the engine out takeoff distance, it's the longer of, so it's the takeoff distance required, the longer of the engine out takeoff distance, or all engine takeoff distance. Then the runway length minus lineup plus clearway if you have it, and so on. So all these cases, don't worry about it. It's complicated. The good thing is, what you have to realize is that there's so many cases being calculated by these calculators that the smallest value that you get from all these calculations, that's going to be your limiting field length limited takeoff weight. Does that mean that's the maximum that you can take off with overall? No, because there's two more cases, as we've already learned, that we have to consider. The next one would be the climb limitation, so the second segment limiting speed or weight, and that is dependent on the amount of engines you have. So for a two-engine aircraft, the minimum climb gradient has to be 2.4%, single engine. That's assuming takeoff thrust and speed being at V2. So the first segment is the segment 35 feet screen height or 15 feet screen height until gear up. That's the first segment. The second segment goes from gear up to your engine out acceleration height. Now, in my case, usually it's 1,500 feet. It's different for different aircraft, for different companies. Sometimes it's 800, sometimes it's 1,000. Okay, but in our case, it's 1,500. And from this point, gear up until you reach 1,500 feet, it has to be 2.4% average gradient for 2-engine aircraft. 3-engine, 2.7, and 4-engine, even higher at 3%. So these are fixed values that you have to be able to reach. This actually then, if you like, quite a simple term or simple calculation for the program. But this case has to be considered as well. Very strict, just pure minimum climb gradients in the second segment. Then the third case, and this actually often is a limiting case, especially in areas where you have obstacles close by or further away, depending on how high they are. But quite often you will have close-in obstacles like houses, buildings in the departure path. Just like we've seen, for example, in India, in Ahmedabad, when you see those pictures, the aircraft lifting off, there's a lot of buildings, higher buildings, pretty close to the airport. So that means they have, in my understanding, that's I think what they had. They probably had an obstacle limitation on their takeoff, not a field length limit takeoff, because the runway is long enough. Yes, it was hot, but assuming they took about 50 tons of fuel for the flight to London, even with 240 passengers on board, they would not be close to their maximum performance, or maximum allowable takeoff weight structurally. So it was more a limitation, I think, regarding obstacle clearance. And that due to the close-in obstacles, which would have been in the second segment. Right, so gear up until you get to your engine out acceleration. Yeah, Felix, exactly. So, I mean, these questions arise because the officials made a statement that it was unusual that the aircraft used all runway, or literally all of the runway. So what I think, and again, it's just me, my interpretation regarding my knowledge about takeoff performance, and I've calculated the takeoff performance for the 787-9, where the field length limit had a lot higher possible takeoff weight than the obstacle case, right? So what should have happened is, me thinking is that they had a balanced V1 condition where if they had aborted a takeoff just prior V1, they would have come to a stop and still have some stop margin, right? Meaning on the opposite side, since it's a balanced V1 condition, even with an engine failure, and assuming they had both engines running at full power, what they calculate with, they would have easily reached the 35 feet, at the same distance for the stop case. Most likely even a lot earlier, right? So I think what the authorities were getting at is that it was unusual for that calculation, for that aircraft, for those conditions, that the aircraft actually, assuming they didn't have an engine failure, that actually used almost all of the runway. Because assuming that it was an obstacle limitation, they would have had to lift off earlier to get the gear up and then get into that climb state where you would have to have at least 35 feet clearance on a dry runway or 15 feet wet runway calculation, plus a margin of 0.8%, right? So you have your net flight path and you have a gross flight path. So the gross gives you extra margin. So if you do everything according to the book, you fly perfectly balanced, So exactly the right amount of rudder input. You raise the landing gear right on time. Then, you fly a perfect engine out recovery and get into the perfect pitch. Then, you would have a buffer in that. So you'd fly on the blue line there. Now, it is, of course, then, for airline pilots in the normal daily operation, they would add a lot of buffer in many different areas, landing calculations, takeoff calculations, just to be able to allow the pilots to have some little inaccuracies with the recovery, startle effect, whatever, right? So there's a margin in that. But that's the idea, that you have the third calculation, which is the obstacle limitation calculation. So again, don't get worried too much. You don't have to know all this stuff really. Just as a little overview regarding the takeoff weight calculation, always based on these three factors: field length limited, climb performance limited, or the obstacle clearance limited takeoff weight. And if I look at on my real world calculator, I get weight values for all these cases. And then I get shown what the limiting factor is, right? So again, assuming that the aircraft there had not a field length limit, meaning it had a stop margin, it probably wasn't limited to the normal standard climb of 2.4% as a gradient. It very likely had an obstacle clearance limit. So because of those obstacles near the runway, it had to climb earlier and climb pretty steep to get over those houses. But again, you can rest assured these things are calculated for every takeoff, right? And pilots get trained, and pilots take this very seriously, right? This is something which is calculated by each pilot separate. If you have 3 pilots in the flight deck, all 3 pilots on their own EFB will calculate those values and then compare the results, right? Also in those, I would think there's also, like I said, always a bit of margin in there, right? So that's why, you can rest assured, when you get your values, so let's say you get like TO1, so a D rate, a fixed 10% D rate from your max power, plus on the Boeings, quite often you get then a assumed temperature value as well. If you have, let's put this in actual values. So let's say full takeoff power would be 90% N1, right? So you do your calculations with a certain takeoff weight. So let's say you have, 200 tons takeoff weight in a 787, okay? So 200 tons is what you're weighing, and your conditions, temperature, pressure, the runway, the slope of the runway, you have the length of the runway. So now the calculations go on, and then the program will give you a result. And it's very rarely full power. So the only times really I see full power takeoff is usually in spaces like Bogota or Mexico, right? So these very high elevation airports, that's where you would normally then get into the area where sometimes you have to reduce your max takeoff weight, right? So you have to leave some cargo behind or something to be able to manage those performance values. So let's say you have TO1 with 35 degrees flex. So your actual N1 would be like 87%, right? So in the end, it just translates to a amount of RPM in the engine. And then that's expressed in a percentage value. So 87%, let's say. So that's 3% less than what you would actually have available if you push the thrust levers fully forward, right? So the D rates and the flex or the assumed temperature methods are there to reduce the stress on the engines. And that has a lot of good effects. That has an effect of having lower exhaust gas temperatures, so puts less stress on the engine, meaning is a less likelihood statistically that the engine is going to fail, right? You use less fuel, you have less stress on the engine, meaning less maintenance costs, etc., etc. So the D rates and assumed temperature methods are used always. And very rarely would you have to use full power. Now, again, these calculations that you do then mean if you have an engine failure just after V1, you don't have to add thrust on the remaining engine. You can, if certain values are not exceeded or if you're not below certain speeds, you can push the thrust lever of the other engine forward to achieve full power, but you don't have to, because all that calculation made sure with that reduced value, single engine, you're still going to be able to either, get the 35 feet screen height or manage the 2.4% climb gradient with a 2-engine aircraft, or it makes sure that you're going to clear all the obstacles with the margins in case. So that's all what goes into the the very complex calculations of takeoff performance. And again, it's being done very thoroughly by the pilots. And I try to remember of any accident or incident where an aircraft didn't have the correct thrust for takeoff. The only cases where that can happen or happened was when aircraft calculated, let's say, for a full takeoff length, and then suddenly mistakenly took off from intersection. And remember that the first things that came out, the first rumors that came out was, they were on it. They took the intersection. They didn't do the backtrack. And I was like, no, it's a huge backtrack. And on the 787, you have to take full takeoff length, right? That's a stupid argument. Never ever would they have taken the intersection departure on that runway, right? So again, that's the only reason where these calculations may go wrong if you use the wrong takeoff point, right? Bretsen says, hello to Bretsen, you think of it as when you drive a car enter the highway and how hard you do step on the gas to join the highway. Yeah, to reach like 60 miles an hour or something. Yeah, true. Very good question. Now we're getting more into the bigger theory. But let me just see if I can find my. I'm going to put you on the pause real quickly. Let me try to find a graph because I've made a document for that. Hold on, let me just put you on pause for a second to get into my iPad. Hold on. There. So let's see if I find it straight away. Hold on. Discord. So yeah, we did a workshop years ago. I think I published that workshop. Was it in-flight performance? No, it was takeoff performance. That was in in 2018, I think we published that. To open that, hang on. Want to open that? Let me ask some questions here. A software bug, cycling? No, I've never ever. Even that, I've never heard of any software bugs or something. I mean, these software programs, because they're so important with these calculations, the tests being done on them. I'm not saying it's not possible, but to be honest, I think that's really unlikely that you have a software bug to get wrong values. Usually it's wrong inputs, if anything. Let's see if I find it here. Hang on. That's not it. Then it was in-flight performance. Let's see. If not, I have to draw that on the iPad here. So right now I'm going through the document that I made. It's not here. I saw it today because I made a Oh, I know where it was. Weight and balance. Hang on, weight and balance. Yeah. We made also a file for weight and balance. Hold on. There we are. There we go. Right, look. So, let's see. Let's make that a bit bigger here. So, if you look at the aircraft itself, right, you have the center of gravity, right, somewhere in the middle, let's say, or close to the middle, yeah? And then you have a lift vector, right? Simply speaking, if you have a clean wing, so no flaps out, right, and you fly a standard airspeed at a certain pitch, hey, aviation driver, you're going to have a standard location for your lift vector, okay? So the aerodynamic center, as it's called. So you have the center of gravity. Opposing to that, you have the aerodynamic center. And at the end, with the stabilizer, you have the stabilizer downforce. So if you look at these distributions, if you didn't have a stabilizer, the aircraft would do flips, right? It would not be balanced. So you do need a horizontal stabilizer to create a downforce, so lift to the downside, to counteract the imbalance caused by the difference between the aerodynamic center and the center of gravity. Now, why is that necessary? What does that create? It creates stability. So you can imagine with a fighter, those lines would probably touch. I'm not sure if some cases it would actually be opposite. So if the center of gravity or let's say the aerodynamic center, if those two values get closer to each other, the less downforce you need and the more agile the aircraft will get. So to answer your question regarding how does the center of gravity affect the calculations, the further forward, in this case, for this aircraft, the further forward the center of gravity is, the more downforce you have to create. And what does that create? It creates more drag. So the equation regarding thrust and drag becomes less efficient, decreasing your possible maximum takeoff weight. So you can see here, for example, I've drawn the center of gravity closer to the aerodynamic center, and now the downforce has to be closer, smaller. So you could imagine that a ramp agent, or the load controller, is, of course, aiming for condition where the CG is further aft, so closer to the aerodynamic center of the aircraft, so that it creates less downward force on the stabilizer, i.e. less drag, as it becomes more efficient. Makes sense, right? Okay, so Airbus says 2004, there was a Halifax accident with the Boeing 747 freighter that had the wrong takeoff cards. Okay. Yeah, well, back then, I remember when I started out in the 747, we had these huge folders with those data cards. and that was quite something to get the values for takeoff on that, especially on contaminated runways. Yeah. Just for some further facts, what is calculated? So here you have your runway and the engine out departure sector dimensions. So that's the area you're allowed to fly in with an engine failure. It starts at the runway at the end of the runway, and it's 300 feet left and right of the center line. And then it opens up with a divergence of 12.5%, and approximately 4 miles beyond the runway, it reaches 3,000 feet left and right of the center line. So as long as you fly, so that's also, let's say you do a check ride. You do a check ride and you have an engine failure. If you lift off and you do not correctly counteract the asymmetry and you drift off the runway, you fail your check. Or at least that would be a non-passed recovery, because you could have antennas, you could have other aircraft, whatever, buildings, that you would then crash into, right? So if you have an engine failure, the recovery has to be so accurate that you maintain the aircraft within its runway dimensions. I know it's difficult with some aircraft with a huge wingspan, but I would say, let's say that concerns the body of the aircraft, not so much the wings, okay? So again, and then after you reach the end of the runway, if you drift off a little bit, that is calculated. So all obstacles in this area are being considered, right, for your obstacle limitation case. Dayan says he heard a 737 pilot saying they put all their bags in the front compartment. Yeah, I mean, that's probably a typical 737 layout for them. So like I said, when I look at this distribution for this aircraft, so you can imagine, even if you take a A321, different airlines have different seatings. So some may have a real business class in the front with very heavy seats in the front. Or you have an aircraft that has only few business class seats in the front and lots of economy class seats. So to get the center of gravity into the right position, you would then put more bags in the front first of all. But again, it all has to do with the layout of the aircraft. But in principle, you can say that you want to get the stabilizer downforce, as small as possible, without getting the aircraft into an unstable position. So you also have to consider the fact that the center of gravity can move. Let me ask you this: how does the center of gravity move in an aircraft when it's flying? Fuel burn, yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly, fuel burn. Fuel ballast, yes. So Christian, if you have a ballast tank in the stabilizer, where you can move fuel to and from the main tanks or the center tank, yes, that way you can move the CG quite drastically, right? What else can you imagine? So let's say 4 people walk from the front to the rear of the aircraft. That changes center of gravity. Not as drastically. Depends on the length of the aircraft. But yes, so cargo guy, that's something that's of course then very drastic. Cargo shift. But you are correct. A shift in cargo can create a huge shift in center of gravity. Can you remember that 747 crash was it Iraq or Afghanistan? I think it was Afghanistan, right? That was a freighter, 747 freighter, and it was filmed. Very, very dramatic crash. It was Kabul, yeah. So what happened there? Some load that was in the cargo hold shifted And you can imagine then if the center of gravity moves beyond the aerodynamic center, that's it. Then the aircraft is outside of its envelope. And you can't recover that. Right? The stabilizer is not made for that relationship of center of gravity to the aerodynamic center. Yeah, so exactly. So a shift in cargo can definitely cause a huge upset in the center of gravity. Right? A meal service. Yeah, I mean, in parts, yes. So you can imagine as an aircraft flies along, and since the wings are swept, as the fuel is burned, right, the center of gravity normally will move forward. Right. And then the trim has to be changed for the stabilizer downforce, yeah. But yes, exactly. So that has an effect on your takeoff performance. So that's why when you do your performance calculations, even in your simulators, it asks you for the center of gravity, right? Because in the real world, you have to put that in as well, right? So that's why you have that in there. Cool, guys. Like I said, I don't want to extend the time for that. I'm happy that still we've got 140 people watching still. Thank you very much. And I know it's a difficult topic to cover, and usually, I'm not really preparing too long to explain that. But I remember the first time I came across this, I was like, "What on earth is this? What?" Why do I have to learn this, right? Well, you have to have some background knowledge to that, right? So you understand, all the limitations going into the field length limit, into the climb limitation, and into the obstacle limitation, right? And I'm just checking now. I made some screenshots. I can't show them. I just made some screenshots today for different cases that I calculated with, and I'm just looking. So for example, it can happen. It can happen, for example, that if the weights are a little bit on the lower side, you can actually get field length limit, second segment, and obstacle pretty much the same. So it's kind of balancing that out. But obviously the field length limit, especially on the high elevation airports, that's always going to be the problem in that case. So Oxygen, I made these files for my subscribers and the members because it's a little bit of a thank you for those that do become members or subscribers. So I don't openly share these. And if you're interested, I have many more files there. A lot of Airbus stuff there as well. Some airport things there. Low-vis procedure stuff. Even some links to some videos that we made. VATSIM videos, VATSIM workshops we did. Lots of different stuff. Yeah, so I know. I've always thought that as well, that 35 feet, if you really need the full length of the runway, right? So full length of the runway, and then 35 or even 15 feet in the wet runway case. I mean, I from experience, and again, knock on wood, I've never had an engine failure IRL. So all my takeoffs, all my flights have been good, right? So, but I remember Mexico, even with all engines running, so all 4 engines running on takeoff, we lifted off. And maybe we had 300 feet, 400 feet at the end. If that, I mean, still that's so low. I mean, that's almost just the wingspan of the aircraft. And that's with all engines. So I always thought, man, if we have an engine failure just after V1, and yeah, you would have 35 feet there. So you can imagine that when we go through our training and when we do our check rides every half year, we have to do, it's mandatory, we have to do engine failure on takeoff. So we have to do an RTO, and we have to do engine failure on takeoff. And then demonstrate that we still have the ability and the framework to recover an engine failure on takeoff and make sure that we stay within the confines as we can see here. So as an example, let's say you're 65 years old or getting 65 years old as a captain, all right? As a 65-year-old captain, you still have to prove you have the mental and the physical capacities to do that, right? If you can't, you're going to fail the check ride, quite rightly so, and you have a second go. You have to demonstrate that you can achieve those values, because again, this is critical. This is very important. Yeah, Airbus. Yeah, you will definitely have 4 reds on the opposite side. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Any questions regarding that? Those calculations? Anything that was somewhat unclear? Yeah, sorry, Aviamar. Unfortunately, we had to restart twice or 3 times because my OBS crashed twice. So it's going to be a bit of a mess regarding finding the right videos. But I think the last one now that was the major part that we've covered now. Oh yeah, guys, remember this calculator here? That was the what was it called? TopCat. Yeah, TopCat it was called. The weird thing was, guys, the TopCat calculator actually gave you the limiting code. So it would tell you if you have a clear way or stop way. And then it would tell you, so the max takeoff weight, you still have it. Yeah, honestly, that was an incredibly good add-on. So you can see here, for example, you see how if you use full takeoff thrust, 88.9%, that was for a A320, with the outside temperature actually being 15 degrees Celsius, you could take off with 76.931 kilograms. So 76.9 tons, right? However, as the temperature gets hotter, so the performance of the engines gets worse, the maximum possible weight gets lower and lower as the temperature goes up. And then it tells you it's a field length limited. So Bremen, definitely. Look at this. So Bremen, with the same weight, 65 tons, look at Bremen with a 2,000 meter runway. All right. At some point, you're going to get your limits, right? Although 65 now, you could still take off there. But I'm trying to find... Oh, there we go. And look, so the weirdest thing was, and I was so impressed with that, is that it actually gave you then the obstacle limits as well. So either the climb limits, remember climb, 2.4% to engine, or the obstacle limitations. And then, yeah, of course, people were asking, hey, what are these codes? Yeah, why are these codes in there? Yeah. And I just gave the explanation, right? Different calculation methods, different limits coming from that. Field length, climb, or obstacle. So that was a really cool program. Yeah, I don't have it anymore. I mean, I could download it from Sim Market, because that's where I bought it, I think. Lee... No, I've not been to Bogota yet, so that's why I never had to go full takeoff thrust in the 787, no. Oh yeah, and one particular thing regarding the 787. Now the 787, okay, so without it getting too complicated, okay, so assuming that you have a balanced V1 well within the confines of the runway, meaning you have a lot more stop margin. What you can do, or what the software can do, is it can kind of optimize the climb, meaning it can increase the V2 speed to get a improved climb calculation. So improved climb. It means that obviously V1 speed gets higher because you have still got some runway available, right? So V1 is going to be higher, VR is going to be higher, and then V2 is going to be higher, meaning more airflow, you're going to have a better climb out performance, right? So assuming there's no obstacles not close by to the airport, that could then limit again. You could go ahead and do the improved climb method. The problem is, of course, you're going to have a lot longer acceleration time, right? Or you could argue the opposite. Well, that means you have a higher V1, so you have more time, if anything goes wrong with the aircraft, to stop the aircraft. So you can have, you have an engine failure somewhere before V1, but V1 is like 170 knots or something. Then there's much more time you have available to stop the aircraft safely on the runway, instead of having to take it into the air. All right. So that's the improved climb method. We have that. And because of that, obviously, when we take off, we use almost all of the runway. So I've actually had takeoffs where we didn't have 35 feet, obviously, because we didn't have engine failure. But I mean, we had maybe 500 feet, 400 feet at the end of the runway. Not because the aircraft was so heavy or the engines couldn't produce full thrust. No, it was a D-rated takeoff, but with improved climb calculation. So with higher speeds, and that's why we lifted off later. So the argument or the report we got from the Air India that it lifted off, it took almost all of the runway, potentially partially could have had to do with a improved climb calculation with higher speeds, taking off more runway, but we'll see. Once the whole report comes out, they will hopefully go into these values, and then we'll find out what happened. Cool. I see no more questions. Let me just check YouTube channel as well. Yeah, exactly. So I agree. Johannesburg is a airport with a higher elevation as well. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So Airbus, it's literally V1 rotate, right? There's not really much difference. Oh yeah, and one more thing, guys. One more thing. We have sometimes, remember that you get sometimes a V1 range. And that's because it's for the dry calculation and the wet runway calculation. So if you have a wet runway, you can imagine your stopping performance gets worse. Or let's say with contamination, right? Your stopping performance gets worse. So you're going to need more stop distance compared to go distance, right? So that's why you have a V1 range. I mean, it's still going to be balanced if you use the upper V1, okay? But it allows you to lower the V1 speed so that you have the option to not abort the V1 at V1, or let's say, you have a V1 that's lower, so you're going to be making your decision earlier, and that's why you have a bigger difference between V1 and rotate, right? But that's, of course, if you have a slippery runway, maybe you want to have a lower V1 to have more margin for the stop case. All right, it's pilot preference. So with that, you would get a stop margin range. So you have a stop margin, let's say, for the high V1 of, let's say, 50 meters, while for the low V1, you have like 300 meters. Right? Yeah, exactly, Morvale. Yeah, so that's why you have that. It's a TOLIS, correct. The TOLIS does give you that. I think the FS Labs as well gives you a V1 range. Yeah, exactly. But to be correct, I think the TOLIS, also gives you that. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but normally, if on a dry runway, you should not really get a V1 range. Right, that should only be for the wet runway. but I would have to check that again. Cool. Let's leave it at that before I confuse you even more. Thanks for watching, everyone. Oh, really? Hang on. Falk says the sim brief. Does it really? Okay, guys, stay tuned. Hang on. Let me just check that. So let me just go and have a look. Let's do some silly calculation. All right, let's do a silly calculation here in Zurich. Let's do a new flight real quickly. So the 340 does give you that. Okay, so let's say ABC 123 in Zurich. We're flying to, I don't know, JFK. We're using, let's take a 787, 7879. Let's do that. Passengers will take 255. We'll take fuel planning, a bit of extra, 1,000 kilograms. And let's generate the flight. And then that's it, Falk. That's a really good input. Thanks, Falk, for that. Because then if it does show that, I'll put that into the streams more often. And look at this. So here we got improved climb calculation, right? Look at this. So at hot or high airports, the limiting factor can sometimes be the second segment climb gradient. The climb gradient between the gear up and flap protection, which must meet or exceed a certain value by regulation. So we know 2.4% on two engine. However, if there's a lot of extra runway available, the climb limit can be slightly increased by intentionally accelerating to faster than necessary takeoff speed for rotating. Enabling this option may result in V speeds that are slightly higher than normal for the selected flap setting, which can increase the maximum takeoff weight and or maximum flex temperature when climb limited. So let's do that disabled now, first of all. And let's have a look. Oh, there we are. You're right. Cool. So there we have a field length limited value of 216.6 tons. Hey, Bradfinder, greetings. The center of gravity is calculated. So Peter, the load controller has all the information where the passengers are seated. He knows which pallets, so which containers, or which suitcases, how many suitcases, because their weight, right, are located in which compartment, how much fuel is on board, and with all those values, how many crew members are on board. With all those values, they will then work out the center of gravity for you. Can I zoom in a little bit? Let's have a look. Is that better? Can you see that now? Field length limited. There it says limiting code field. So let's now go with a different runway. Let's go with runway 16. And there we go. Now it gives you the structural limited weight of takeoff weight, MTOF. But for the runway, the limit would be 254. I think that's structural limit for the takeoff. Is it so, Falk? The question is obstacle. Let me see. I'm trying to think of a runway where we have obstacles nearby. Now, I mean, a lot of airports in India have close-in obstacles. Is that correct? Yeah, runway 32. Let's populate the weather. And let's go to that. Yeah, so that's field length limit again. Field length limited. The weight. Let's do 185. Lukla. Field. Yeah, these are all field length limited. Interesting. Yeah, okay, the runway is the longest, so maybe that's why. London City. Yeah, well, I would have to take a different... what's the code for London City? Lima... No, sorry, Echo... Golf, Lima Whiskey or something? No. Lima Charlie. Okay, thank you. Lima Charlie. Thanks, guys. Lima Charlie. And then we're going to take a Embraer, right? They have Embraers there. So let's go with the Embraer 170 or something. Weight. What's the typical weight here? 55 tons? Oh, no, 36. So let's do 35. Oh, 31. It says that 31.6 disregard. Okay, I can see that. That's 31.6. Still? Hang on. 31.5. Yeah, that's field again. Okay, 195. $40 tons. Lol. It can only take out 40 tons of weight. That's not much, is it? Yeah, again, it's field length limited. Hey, organ. Yeah, but some, I'm not sure, Falk, did you ever see obstacle limitations in there? It does not include obstacles. There we go. So, because that's the thing, right? I remember that the TopCat calculator that had actually obstacles. So you, for example, you saw that if it's obstacle limited, it would tell you which obstacle is the limitation or limiting factor, and then you could go into the runway table. If I remember correctly, it actually tell you where that obstacle is located, and that's exactly what we have in real life as well. And so I could tell you, for example, I can tell you, for example, in Ahmedabad, there's a obstacle 3,532 meters behind past the beginning of the runway, which has an obstacle at 183 feet. Then 4,000 meters beyond, it's got 233 feet. So all those obstacles that are in that takeoff segment, they have to be considered. And then you get these information regarding obstacle A, obstacle B, obstacle C, etc. What's VPT, organ? Never heard of that. What's VPT? Yeah, and Organ, I know that you've made a performance calculation tool. Organ, are you selling that anywhere, or is it still being developed? Because you made that for the Airbus 320, right? Yeah, Duke, you're right. Maybe it's not the beginning of the runway. I would have to look at the point where that's calculated from. It could also be the end of the runway. I'll find that out. Probably end of the runway then. And it sounds a lot. I mean, 3,500 meters sounds a lot, right? But if you have an engine failure, so I'm thinking like Bogota, where you have like 100 feet per minute climb rate. Organ, do you have a link for that? Feel free to post a link if you like. Yeah, thanks for the tip. So it's a virtual performance tool, it's called. So all aircraft, so it's got light, standard, pro versions. Yeah, I'll have a look at that. Sounds interesting. Sounds really interesting. Avimar, thank you so much for the 200 bits. Thank you, Avimar. Thanks for the kind words and thanks for your support. Hey, Adrian. Yeah, exactly. So you're right. Good point. So if you have, for example, cranes somewhere in that departure sector, you will get NOTAMs. So the companies get information, and then their calculator has to be adjusted to also cover those temporary obstacles. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll check that out. Thanks so much. Okay, guys, let's end it here. Again, I'll be back on next Tuesday. So 24th, I'll be back again. If the final or the preliminary report comes out from the crash in Ahmedabad, then I'll try to read through that, and yeah, I'll give you my thoughts on that then next week, if that's out by then. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Thanks to the moderators, as always, for all the help. Glad you enjoyed it.
Good night, Black Box.
Airbus, good night. And the next flight, we'll have a look. Whatever we fly, we'll get that topic covered again with the performance calculation. So try to fill in more often now on the limitations, etc. Cool. Thank you so much, everyone. Stay safe. Take care. Good night.